they gathered on the first century. That was like a drop in the water, and the trickling effect still continues today. And we know this because of the evidence we have here now, and that we're still here gathering in the name of Yeshua, and that this trickling effect will continue, just as the people who passed on the word in the book of Acts to the next generation, and that generation laid down their lives, and some of them lost their lives, so that the next generation can hear the word, and to know how many lives were laid down, how much blood was spilled, how many people gave up everything just so that that next person could hear the precious word of God, and to know that a lot of lives were laid down and lost for the gospel, for the Great Commission, so that today we can all gather here today in the name of Yeshua, read His word, and that we're another generation that's going to pass it on. As JJ says, we're going to be like the lighthouse, that light that's set on the hill, so that the next generation will gather 10, 20, 30 years from now and get to hear the word and understand the word because they've heard something from a teaching or a prayer meeting or an online fellowship, and then they get to raise their children up in the Torah. I just pray that we understand that we're united with this Church of Acts. It's not some distant church that's not related to us. That we're part of them, they're part of us. We're one big family. We've all got the same mission in our mind, which is what Yeshua told us to do: go and make disciples. So I pray that today on Shabbat we can just read His word with that this sobering idea that what was laid down and what has been done on the cross and what has been done, so that we can gather here today. That Yah is always preserving His word and always making sure that those who are His children will hear the word. And we just get to be partakers of that. I pray we just have that humility and understanding of how precious this really is. I pray this in Yeshua's name.
Oh, the toothpicks.
Refreshing is important, Father. We just come to you and ask for that refreshing, Father. We know that, Father, when you went through that wilderness, Father, that temptation, Father, even you, Father, even you had a time where ministering messengers had to come to you and refresh you. And we just ask right now, Father, for that refreshing. Father, refresh us. Father, I need refresh, Father. I'm just asking for that refreshing, Father. You told us if we repent and are converted, that the time of refreshing may come, Father. And Father, we are calling out for that time of refreshing, Father. That time of comfort, that time of strengthening. Father, I'm crying out, Father, for, Father, servants like Jonathan to rise up, Father, who went to David, Father, and helped them find his strength in Yah, Father. We're asking for a generation that will, Father, once again, Father, look to the interest of others more than themselves, Father, that would look to them, Father, and help them find their strength. Father, we're in a generation where people are losing their strength. We're in a generation, Father, with like Samson, Father, where they played with Delilah, Father, and they rise up like they do every day, Father, thinking, Father, that you're there just like you have been every day, Father. And there's going to be that day that they wake up and find out that you have left them, that you have Ichabod, that your glory has departed from them, Father. And we ask that, Father, they would still, Father, have enough inside of them to cry out to you still, just like your servant, your judge, Father, did, Father. Samson, he cried out, Father, and asked for you to give him strength one more time. Father, we're asking that a generation will have enough strength that even when it seems like it's over, even when it seems like it's ruined, even when it seems like it's destroyed, even when it seems like there's no way out, Father, that they will be just like your servant Cephas, Father, and they will lift up their hands and they will say, save me. You say, cursed is the man who puts his trust in man, but blessed is the man that trusts in Yah. Father, we put our trust in you. We put our confidence in you. We do not put our strength in arm of man's flesh, Father, but we cry out to you, Father, saying, you are our light and our strength. Whom shall we be afraid of? No weapon formed against us shall prosper. Just because you told us that no weapon formed against us shall prosper doesn't mean that weapons aren't being formed against us. And we need to understand the relevancy that weapons are formed against us, that there are traps that are against us. Just like when your prophet, Father, your servant Daniel was crying out to you, Father, and you came to him and said there was a war going on in the heavenlies, Father. There's wars going on in the Shamaim in the heavens, Father, that we don't even know about. But yet and still, you still comfort us. You still keep us. I'm asking right now, just like your prophet prayed out to the servant, he said, open up his eyes that he may see what I see. That those that are with us are greater than those that are against us. And in this generation, where sometimes we feel like your prophet Elijah, where we're the last one left, Father, we ask that we would understand that there are those that have not even bowed down. And we ask that we would turn our ears to you and hear what it is that you are speaking to us. He that have an ear, let him hear what the RUACH is speaking unto his chosen. Let us hear what you are speaking. Let us hear what you are speaking. What is it that you are speaking? We are turning our ears to you, Father, and saying, speak, for your servant listens. Just like your prophet Samuel, where it says not one of his words fell on dead ground, because he had his ear towards you. And not one of your words will fall on dead ground, but it will do what it was sent out to do, Father. Let us hear what it is that you are speaking. Just like your prophet Ezekiel, Father, when he cried out, and he said, Father, when you asked him, will these dead, dry bones live? He says, Yahuwah, only you know. Father, we say that to this generation. When they ask, will this generation live? We say, Yahuwah, only you know. But give us the words to speak to the generation. Give us the words to prophesy to the generation. And Father, we are speaking life to this generation. This generation that is being raised up, Father, to not fear you. This generation that is being raised up to have a Elohim after their own understanding. Father, we said we go back to the ancient past. You said if you want to find rest for your souls, go back to the ancient past. We go back to those ancient past. We lay ourselves at the altar. We cry out. We build the altar with our hands. We build the altar with our sweat. We build the altar with our blood. We are crying out We are crying out. We know that every tear, Father, is being kept in a vial, Father. We know that every prayer is not heard, unheard, Father. We know that they are like incense that are being brought up to the Shamais, and we are crying out. We know that a book of remembrance is being written, and we're not ashamed to cry out. Forgive us, Father, for trying to sexualize a generation. Forgive us, Father, for trying to change the gender of a generation, trying to do the very thing that you told us not to do. Forgive us for worshiping man more than you, for worshiping money more than you, for having idols instead of seeking you. But we come before you, Father, awaken to it. We say, open up our eyes, lest we sleep that sleep of death. Enlighten our eyes, lest we sleep that sleep of death. We know that the entrance of your word bringeth forth light, and we desire truth in our inward parts. We desire your truth in our inward parts. We ask right now that you will put your truth in our inward parts. We ask that you will reach down right now and give us a fresh word. Father, today that's what we're going to talk about, is these emotions that, Father, we want to reclaim the throne of our hearts. We want to reclaim the throne of our hearts and give it back to you. We want our emotions to no longer rule over us, but to use our emotions as that gauge, that we may know what it is to feel and not be disconnected.
We thirst for you. There is none like you. We desire you, Yahuwah. We desire you, oh Yah. We thirst for you. There's none like you. Only you can satisfy our soul. We desire you, Yahuwah. We desire you, oh Yah. For you alone are the way, the truth, and you alone sit upon the throne. We thirst for you, we hunger too, for you have the words to life. We desire you, Yahuwah. We love you with all our might. We need you, Yah. We love you, Yah. There is none like you. You're worthy, Yah. You're worthy, Yah. In you alone is truth. We love you with all our heart. We love you with all our soul. We love you with all our might. We desire you to tell us how to go. We need you, Yah. We love you, Yah. For you alone are worthy. There's none like you. There's none like you. For you alone are true. In the inward parts of our being, we desire your word inside. In the inward parts of our being, for you alone are our God. We love you, Yah. We love you, Yah. We desire you with all our
is sweeter than honey. you to reclaim the throne of my heart. Father, there's some of us that got some things in our heart, Father, that have been holding us back. Some things in our hearts, Father, that have been locked and trapped, Father. Some things in our heart, Father, just like the woman at the well, Father. She had some things inside of her heart that was hindering her to face the people, Father. And I'm asking, Father, right now, Father, those things in our heart, Father, those gateways that we have opened up, Father, that we have not guarded, Father, we are asking right now, Father, that you would reclaim that throne back, Father. We are asking that you would make us over, Father. We are asking that you would give us a new heart, just like David cried out, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. Father, we are asking that you would make us over. We are asking that you would reclaim the thrones of our heart. Father, today, Father, that is, Father, what we are after. We are after you to reclaim the thrones of our hearts. We are after you to reclaim the thrones of our hearts. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are like bold lions. And we are coming to you, Father, to the throne, and we are asking to receive grace in a time of need. We are asking that you would make us over. Make us over. Make us over. You are the potter, and we are the clay. And we are going to the potter's house right now. And we are saying, make us over. Make us the way you would think is made perfected. Make us in a way that you think is right. We are asking that you would make us over. Make us over. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. If there be not any more psalms, hymns, spiritual songs, words of affirmations, anything that was coming to anybody's heart as we were seeking him that they want to share, the floor is open for that. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and get started then. Thank you, Riley. Emotions. As everybody leaves.
Checking on the place.
Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. Before we get started, I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about IQ, which is our intelligence, and I want to talk about EQ, which is our emotional intelligence. And what I think is going on is that a lot of people are not familiar with emotional intelligence. So before I even get into the lesson today, I want to talk about emotional intelligence. Because we're talking about regaining the throne of our hearts. We're talking about all these emotions that, you know, we as people deal with. But the emotions, by the time that we're done with it, I hope to give an understanding that the emotions that we have are good, that they were Yah given. But we got to learn how to utilize them the right way. There's nothing wrong with our emotions. We're going to feel the way we feel. But we got to make sure that we know the difference between IQ and EQ. All right. So IQ is the faculty of thinking and understanding. That's our intelligence. To be able to think and understand something, that's the intelligence. When we talk about EQ, we're talking about the capability of an individual to recognize their own emotions. See, it's easy for us to recognize the emotions of someone else, but to understand and recognize our own emotions, and then what? Their emotions and those of others, discerning between the different feelings and labeling them appropriately. We got to learn how to label our emotions appropriately. Sometimes when someone may be feeling depressed, it may not be them suffering with depression. What they might be suffering with is just loneliness. And a lot of times we just capitalize that on depression when really all they are is lonely. So we got to be able to label our emotions the correct way. If someone is angry, maybe what it is they're trying to love, but they don't know how to do that correctly. So this is where emotional intelligence is going to play in, and it's very important. It says, use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior and to manage or adjust your emotions to adapt to the environment to achieve one's goals. We got to make sure that our emotions doesn't, hinder us from reaching our goal, but our emotions allow us to understand where we're at in the midst of our goal. This is where EQ is going to be important. So what I got is actually a little video on emotional intelligence I'm going to play. So let me get my mouse to work with me for a second. Oh no. Work with me.
Yep.
Okay.
A little chick holding a smiley
Yeah.
face.
A baby chick doing what?
Holding a smiley face. Holding a smiley face. That was a pig with no ears.
So did I.
Oh, okay. I see the
Yeah, it
pig.
looks like a pig with no ears to me.
I know. I kind of see the nose, but
I mean, they're just now, they're behind.
All right.
a little chick, baby chick.
I'm looking
He thought
hard.
it was a pig with no ears.
I'm looking hard.
See the beak?
What my man did too. He thought.
It's a little chick.
Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to make it to where they can see.
You might have to go to the actual video, right?
Hold on, Marissa. Hold on, Marissa.
You're stuck. You just have to open your mouth and ask that.
Here's the video.
You all know what it is. Stuck down the steps.
Hold on, y'all.
Yeah.
I need these right here. You need to hear this.
Oh, no. Trying to work this on the it's not working for me. Can I play it?
I don't care if that's on your phone.
No.
No, you cannot do that. It's just that.
Don't look at mine then.
Are you guys able to see that video on Zoom?
Sorry, your boots are on the wrong feet.
Well, hopefully they can see it. If not, you guys that are at the house will see it. I can't work it for them.
Send it in the link later.
Right. Here we go.
We all know what an IQ is, and that most of us fall within the average range. We use names like smart, intelligent, dumb, idiot, and stupid when talking about a person's level of intelligence. What most people don't know is that we also possess an EQ, or EI, which is our level of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is difficult to measure in numbers because it is that thing inside us that recognizes emotions in ourselves and others, then guides us to respond. Understanding emotions may seem unimportant or trivial, but in fact it is the opposite. It is widely believed by experts that a person's level of emotional intelligence may be a better predictor of success and overall happiness than their IQ. What is emotional intelligence? Having a high level of emotional intelligence means that you can accurately express your feelings and take responsibility for them. People often say things like, "You hurt my feelings," and "you shouldn't have," which puts blame on the other person for the way you feel. A person with high EI realizes the feeling belongs to him and responds with statements such as, "I was hurt by that." Being emotionally intelligent means that you can identify and manage not only your own emotions, but the emotions of others too. It means you have awareness of your own feelings and are able to balance emotion and reason. You can recognize feelings and emotion in others and show empathy and compassion, which is a crucial part of all relationships, both business and personal. For example, a good leader has the ability to understand what motivates others and build on that motivation. 7 signs you are emotionally smart. Although emotional intelligence is not completely understood, it has become increasingly known that it plays a critical role in our quality of life. A person who is emotionally intelligent generally has better physical health, a more positive outlook, fulfilling relationships, and
Oh no, I'm sorry, you guys. What I do?
Exhibit A.
Anyhow,
Cool, I didn't know about this stuff.
I didn't either about EQ.
oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Here we go. Well, everybody wasn't here and the kids was there. We'll start over. It's
That's
5
fine.
minutes long. Hopefully they're able to see. I think now they can see it.
Maybe the father wants us to watch it again.
Right.
Somebody wasn't listening.
This is real good stuff because you ain't able to deal with somebody else effectively if you don't know how to deal with your own self.
You're right.
You know, what happens is sometimes you'll put your own mess on somebody else.
Yeah.
You got some stuff that you're struggling with on yourself, and you just cast that on somebody else. So what it's called is you project it on someone else. It's almost like you're looking for a scapegoat. So if you're depressed, I'm gonna make you depressed so that I can say, "Why are you depressed?" So I can fix you. But really, it's your own self that you need to get fixed.
The old saying, hurt people hurt people.
Our misery loves company.
Misery, all of that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. All that is based out of
See? Well, check.
Yeah, there it is. Oh.
do you have these 7 signs of emotional intelligence? We all know what an IQ is, and that most of us fall within the average range. We use names like smart, intelligent, dumb, idiot, and stupid when talking about a person's level of intelligence. What most people don't know is that we also possess an EQ, or EI, which is our level of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is difficult to measure in numbers because it is that thing inside us that recognizes emotions in ourselves and others, then guides us to respond. Understanding emotions may seem unimportant or trivial, but in fact it is the opposite. It is widely believed by experts that a person's level of emotional intelligence may be a better predictor of success and overall happiness than their IQ. What is emotional intelligence? Having a high level of emotional intelligence means that you can accurately express your feelings and take responsibility for them. People often say things like, "You hurt my feelings," and "you shouldn't have," which puts blame on the other person for the way you feel. A person with high EI realizes the feeling belongs to him and responds with statements such as, "I was hurt by that." Being emotionally intelligent means that you can identify and manage not only your own emotions, but the emotions of others too. It means you have awareness of your own feelings and are able to balance emotion and reason. You can recognize feelings and emotion in others and show empathy and compassion, which is a crucial part of all relationships, both business and personal. For example, a good leader has the ability to understand what motivates others and build on that motivation. 7 signs you are emotionally smart. Although emotional intelligence is not completely understood, it has become increasingly known that it plays a critical role in our quality of life. A person who is emotionally intelligent generally has better physical health, a more positive outlook, fulfilling relationships, and is more successful than those with low EI. 1. You can read nonverbal communication. This means you are able to look at someone and know by the look on their face, the way they hold their arms, their posture, or etc., and tell what their mood is. 2. You are interested in other people and their feelings and thoughts. When someone asks you, "What are you thinking about?" it shows their interest in understanding. Emotionally intelligent people want to know and understand others and genuinely listen to their answers. 3. You are emotionally resilient. Bad things happen in life. You lose a good job, your significant other moves on without you. You have setbacks and know there will be more coming. However, you also know you are strong enough to persevere until better times come. You do not internalize failure. 4. You know where you need improvement. People with low EI make the world believe they know everything and can do anything. When something goes wrong, they put the blame anywhere but on themselves. If you have a high EI, you know the areas in your life that need improvement. You are always learning and therefore always growing. 5. You are aware of your own feelings. You know how you are feeling, what caused the feeling, and how to process and deal with the feeling. Your feelings guide you towards finding a solution rather than shutting you down. 6. You avoid negative self-talk. When something does not go right, even if it was by your own mistake, you do not berate and belittle yourself. You are able to acknowledge what went wrong and explore your options for solving the problem, then move forward and do so. 7. You pursue success. You have dreams and strategies to make those dreams a reality. You set goals regardless of how long it takes you to meet each one. You deal with setbacks, adjust shortcomings, and know that the only way you will lose is if you quit. How many of these qualities do you possess? The good news is that unlike brain intelligence, or IQ, emotional intelligence can be raised to some extent. Part of our EI is innate, part of it is shaped by our environment, and another part is our attitude. Are you willing to learn to understand and conquer your emotions? Are you interested in becoming a better problem solver? Do you want to achieve your goals? Developing your emotional intelligence allows you the opportunity to avoid miscommunications and misunderstandings. It deepens your relationships and helps you balance work, home, and fun in a meaningful way. Remember, the biggest determinant of success is measured by EQ, not IQ. If you like this video, don't forget to check out our other social media for more content. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Oh, it'll be on there. You can go back. Let's stay on the. It's gonna be on the webpage. You can watch all of them. But the main one I want to get on is that emotional intelligence. Perfect place to see it is where he talks about. He says knowledge does what? Puffs up, but love edifies. Love is the emotional intelligence. Knowledge is the IQ. See, everybody's after all this knowledge and they want to have all this understanding with the scriptures, but you can have all the knowledge and understanding, but if you don't know how to emotionally connect with somebody, you will never be able to take them to that place of knowledge. And what's going on is that's why Yahushua displayed a lot of emotions, and I'm going to get into that today. That he was a very emotional person, but he knew how to have intelligence with the emotional intelligence. And what we lack as a people is we've got all this intellect, but we've got no emotional intelligence. We don't know how to have compassion. We don't know how to you know, care about the interests of someone else more than ourselves. If I'm suffering, then I gotta preserve myself rather than allowing him to preserve me. You see what I'm saying? So this emotional intelligence is very important, and I think that this is one of the main, you know, setbacks to a lot of growth in a lot of people, is because we puff up with all this knowledge, but our emotion level isn't growing. We got to, what did he say? He did not only grow he did not grow with only favor with Yah, but he also grew with favor with what? Man. The thing that grows with favor of man is emotional intelligence. The thing that grows with the Most High is the intelligence, is the understanding of who he is. You know what I'm saying? But emotional intelligence, do you understand why I am? Do you understand my feelings? It's not for me to put my feelings on a pedestal and act like your feelings don't mean anything. See, your feelings are just as valid as my feelings. But this is where we're going to get to. So basically today, keeping your heart with all diligence, we're going to get into this now. All right. So Proverbs 4:23. In Proverbs 4:23, it says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Hey, Zamar, get. In our heart is where the issues of life flow. Within our heart is where everything else comes from, right? So we're going to deal with that word with the heart, and the word is Hebrews 38:20. In the Strong's, like I ain't got it, but it's laid, yeah, laid. And it's the root etymology word from Hebrews 38:24. So we're going to deal with 38:24, and we're going to get into it. But lave is where you're very widely, where your feelings, where even your intellect, likewise the center of anything, your care, your comfortability, consent, your consideration, your courage, friendliness, brokenness, you know, all your emotions are stored inside of there. That's why he talks about where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So if we can make him our treasure, then we give him our heart. And this is about, where's your treasure at? Do you treasure your relationship with him? So for instance, I use this a lot. We just moved not too long ago. And in our move, I had to move my gym. So when I had my gym at my old place, I loved it. You know, because everything was in that one neutral location. I got used to it. I had a relationship with it, and that's how I worked out. When we moved, I had to take some of my workout equipment over to my brother's house. My boxing bag still sitting outside. I got the elliptical over here, the weights downstairs, and I don't spend time in the gym right now because I don't love it. I don't have a relationship with it. It's not the gym that I was used to. So I have to develop a relationship with the new gym in order to, you know, be able to have that relationship with it. So relationship is based off of your time and energy that you put into something. If you don't put time and energy in his word, you'll never fall in love with it. If you don't put time and energy in prayer, you'll never fall in love with it. If you don't put time and energy in working out, you'll never have a love for it. Like, these are the things where, you know, and then people will say, well, you know, the scripture says that you should love nothing in the world, but only love, listen, quit with all that foolishness, all right? Just stop it. Just stop, all right? You can have care for other things. Just don't allow the cares of the world to overcome your cares for him. Doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, you can't go to a movie. But listen, if you go to a movie and you get to the point where that's all you do is every time you do something, you're going to the movie, going to the movie, going to the movie, and you can't watch TV without indulging yourself in TV, you need to know you. But you can't put the law on other people and say, you can't watch TV, brother. No, that's your thing. You can. But don't put that on him. You know what I'm saying? If you can't go to the mall because your eyes are so lustful and you're going to look at all the women, don't tell everybody that goes to the mall that's what they're doing. No, that's your stuff. We got to learn how to separate our stuff from everybody else's stuff. That's what emotional intelligence takes us to. Not everybody that talks to a female is trying to get in their pants. So don't say, brother, you can't talk to her. No, that doesn't, just because that's your thing doesn't mean that that's their thing. So we need to understand us in order to better effectively understand how to work with someone else. Because what happens is we hindering each other because we got our own things that we're working on and we're trying to put our work side on someone else's work side. So then nobody gets to get to the place where they need to get to. And this is what's hindering the body. Okay? Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 23. In 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 23, he says, and Nathan said to the king, go, do all that is in thy heart, for Yahuwah is with thee. So the prophet Nathan is telling the king right now, go and do all that is in your heart. All that is your emotions, everything that your heart is placed into, go do it because Yahuwah is with you. That message that Nathan gave to the king is not meaning that you could take that scripture and say, that message is for me. You see what I'm saying? We need to understand how to have a relationship with him so we can understand, is that what the Most High is saying about you? Is he saying all that is in your heart, go do because I'm with you? Just because he said that to him doesn't mean that you can just cut that out and paste that in your own life. You see what I'm saying? And this is what we got to understand with this emotional intelligence. We need to understand where we're at and understand how to get to the place the Most High is taking us. We're all on our journeys, right? So once again, you're talking about all that is in your heart, all that is, within you, your awareness, everything about you, your hopes, your ambitions, your dreams, everything that's inside of you. He's telling the king right now, go do it because Yahuwah is with you. That's the message that the king is getting. That doesn't mean that that's the message for everybody, because some people's hearts aren't right. Yeah.
But could it be because if we do what's in our heart, then that leaves us open to be corrected by other people? Well, that's in your heart. You need to change that. You need to work on it.
I mean, it can, but now we're getting to the place where we find Judas sitting at the thing, and he said, do what you must do. And it says that Hasatan filled his heart. So is it something that I'm really ready for? Or would I rather get to the place where I'm at a place where I'm saying, examine me and try the reins of my heart? See, this king right here has already done that. That's why when he went to the prophet basically confirmed him and said, hey, go do all that's in your heart because the Most High is with you. But if you've never tried the reins of your own hearts and you're just going out there and doing things because it's in your heart to do, it can cause you a lot of turmoil. That's why he says, in all things, do what? It says, do nothing. He says, hold on, man. Proverbs 3 and 5. Lean not on your own understanding. See, that's what I think. I think that this is good. He's like, no, it's not. Don't do that. For instance, Israel, right? Israel, what they say? We want a king. They had some old prophet going out in front of them when they seen all the other nations having this strong, mighty king going out there to war. And they're looking at them saying, man, we want one of them. An old prophet walking out there like Rafiki. Like, we don't want him. We want somebody mighty. You know what I'm saying? That when people look at him, they say, oh, who is that? That's what they wanted, right? That was in their heart. And the prophet tried to explain to them that that's not what you want. Or let's go back to David. What was in his heart was what Bathsheba, right? He slept with her. He did what he did. Then he went and killed her husband Uriah, right? And did all these different things. And in his heart, he didn't deal with it, right? So the prophet came and challenged his heart. And he asked him, if a man has sheep, but yet he goes and does this, he asked him, what would you do? And what did he say? Kill him. He said, that man is you. So in his heart, that was where it was drawn out. So now what we're going to get to is a man of understanding is able to draw some things out that shouldn't be in your heart. So I don't have to go display certain things because he's going to draw it out. He's going to bring some stuff up out of my heart that's in there, right? So back to the Hebrews 38 and 24, it's the inner man, the mind, the will, the heart, the soul, and the understanding. It's the inner part of the mist. So we get down to it. It's the what? Seat of emotions and passions. This is what I'm saying. I need him to reclaim this part. I need him to have full control of my emotions and my passions so I can make sure I'm not doing this out of my own strength, but I'm doing it because it's in him for me to do. So this is where we got to be able to separate the two. So reclaiming the throne of your heart. Finally, brother, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. That's Philippians 4:8, right? So look, just because you're going to think on things that are true, does that mean that there's not things that aren't true? No, there's things that aren't true. It's every day. But he's saying don't put your affections or don't focus on what's not true. Stop focusing on what's not right. So let's get back into Revelation where he basically, checks the church and he says what? You're going out there and trying to find out who the false apostles are and you forsaking your what? First love. Because you're too focused on what's not right. You're not focused on what is right. It's not saying that you're not supposed to focus on what's not right, but don't allow that to take the seat of your emotion. Don't allow that to be your everyday thing. It's not saying you can't feel sad. The prophet wept, but it couldn't take the seat of his heart. He couldn't walk around and they said, oh, he's the weeping prophet. That's what they labeled him as because he wept. But it wasn't all about him. He did more than just weep. You see what I'm saying? Or Thomas. Oh, doubting Thomas. This is what they tell us. No, he had a position where he asked a question and he got his answer. But now everybody's taking that emotion and they're saying, that's him. Quit letting your emotions dictate who you are. If you was weeping, don't allow yourself to become the weeping prophet, I'm saying. If you was doubting, don't allow yourself to become the doubting person. That was a part of what was going on in my life, but that is not who I am. Find out who you are. You had some trauma in your life. That doesn't mean you're trauma. It doesn't mean that everything you touch is going to go to bad. You had a bad relationship. Doesn't mean that every relationship is going to be bad. Quit bringing your old relationship into your new relationship. That's why it goes bad, because you've allowed it to have the seat of your emotions. You had a bad thing at a job where they basically didn't pay you your money, so now you're afraid to go to any job because you're afraid nobody's going to pay your works for what you do. That's fear. Now fear has taken the seat of your emotion. I got to learn that emotions are okay, but I can't let it have the seat of my heart. This is what we're getting into. So whatsoever things are true, think on those things so that you can become someone that is focused on that. That can have the seat of your heart. The things that are honest, let that have the seat of your heart. Quit focusing on what's not. A lot of people, they do it. For instance, when we talk about, like, I believe we're in the same spot, when people talk about the Illuminati or 13 bloodlines and all these different things, if they don't study the scripture, they go out there in La La Land somewhere and they're afraid. Where drones is flying around everywhere and they're like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but if they know that stuff and then they know the scripture, they can balance it out and be healthy with it. Because I can break that stuff down to you from the top down, right? But I'm not out here like, every drone I see in the sky doesn't stop me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ducking up under tables. I'm not, you know what I'm saying, going around trying to find out if there's any microchips in my walls. And you know what I'm saying? But if that's the only emotion I got, it's going to have me, you know what I'm saying, ducking and dodging and diving. Like drugs, you know, same thing. People that be on drugs. It takes the seat of their heart. Where they're on the drugs, they're trying to deal with what? The issue that's going on has got them using the drug because they're not willing to deal with their feel. Come on, y'all. They're feeling. So they take a drug, and what happens is the drug numbs them, but the feeling doesn't stop. So that when the drug comes off, the feeling's at a all-time full, and they're not able to deal with it. So what do? Numb themselves up some more. And then what happens is we get years and years of numbing up and not dealing with the situation, that by the time we get to the place where we're starting to process our thoughts and our emotions, you got to get your chemical balance leveled out. Come on, y'all. Working out does the same thing. There's a chemical balance in the brain. Like we are chemists beings. Like we was created from the dirt, and in the dirt there's lithium. So some people take lithium because their lithium level is low, and people say, oh, don't take lithium. If your lithium level is low, just to take some lithium, because you're going to be that crazy if you don't. Like, it's okay. Like, understand, like, some of this stuff is for people. Like, we got to quit with this, you know what I'm saying, this spiritual mind, you know what I'm saying, to the point that we become Elohim himself and act like, you know what I'm saying, there ain't nothing else on the face of this earth that can do anything. It goes back to that whole thing, like, let's talk about it. They got that thing out there where they're talking about the water came and it started raining and it started getting high, and then all of a sudden they climbed up to the roof and the helicopter came by and he said, get on. And the man's like, oh, no, Elohim's going to take care of me. And then the water started raising up more. And then the guy comes off the hovercraft like, he's like, come on, hop in. He's like, oh, no, Elohim's going to take care of me. And then the sucker drowned. Like, come on, man. Did you miss all them signs that the Most High was trying to give you? We got to quit being so spiritually minded we become ignorant. Come on, y'all. There's a difference with being spiritually minded and being, let me get this word right. It's a difference with being spiritually minded and spiritually puffed up. There we go. I want to be spiritually minded, but I don't want to be spiritually puffed up. You see, that I separate myself. I become sensual, and I start separating myself from everything that has to do with mankind because I'm over here in this area. I've got this secret knowledge that nobody else possesses. So therefore, you've got to come here, the secret knowledge that I possess. Like the Most High can't crack the sky and tell somebody else the same thing. Like, come on.
You know, EQ suffers.
Right, exactly. Right. So this is it, man. Reclaim the throne of your heart. Understand you're going to have emotions. That's okay. We're going to get into this thing where we find out that everybody has emotions. All right, here we go. Proverbs 20, verse 5. Now we're going to get into it. Counsel in the heart of a man is like what? Deep water. But a man of understanding will draw it out. A man of understanding is able to draw out what's really going on. I can act like everything is fine. I can smile and everything. But if you're with a man of understanding, he will eventually draw that thing out. You'll start crying and give it up. Like, dang, man, I hate coming around here because he's going to make me get up. Like,
He's going to make me cry.
Yeah, exactly, because he brings it out of you, right? You can only cover so much, but if you're with a man of understanding, he's going to be able to sit there, deal with you long enough, and you're going to cough it up. Dang. This is where we want to become a man of understanding so that we can get these deep counsels out of them. I want to draw them out of you. I want this stuff out of you. I want you to be a pure well, not a defiled well, right? I got to get this out of you. I'm going to give you a perfect example. So somebody needs to open up the scriptures for me. Can I get John chapter 4? We're going to read chapter 1 through 42.
John 4, 1 through 42. Start reading.
Yep.
When therefore the master knew how the Pharisees had heard that Yeshua made and baptized more disciples than John, though Yeshua himself baptized not, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee. He must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his own son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Yeshua therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yeshua said unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away into the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest to drink a drink of me, which I am a woman of Samaria?
Time out. Right here, this is emotions. She's dealing with her emotions. I'm a woman. I'm this. And these are all emotions. These are things that have been placed on her, okay? She's telling on herself right now. Keep reading.
For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Yeshua answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of Elohim, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink.
Time out. So first off, you shouldn't have no dealings with me. You shouldn't be fooling with me. That's an emotion. I'm cut off from you. That's an emotion. She's dealing with it. And now he's about to go in there and he's about to get this thing out. She's dealing with her emotion. First off, I'm a woman. First off, how are you going to do this? Like, these are things that she's probably experienced in her own life, because you're going to find out she has so many husbands. Come on, y'all. Because obviously she couldn't find worth, y'all. Come on, man. We're going to do, but see, we read this and we read on it. And then people got all these secrets now, but they ain't dealing with what's really going on here. She's got some emotions that ain't right. She can't even talk to people. This woman, that's why she's waiting until the sun's at its highest point to come get water, because nobody else is going to be there. And then she sees him. She's like, oh, hold on. What are you doing? First off, it's the 6th hour. Let's deal with it. The third, the what? 6th and the 9th hour, hours of prayer. Everybody would be praying right now. Oh, but hold on. Somebody's not at prayer. Shame, 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 right? Come on, y'all. Right, see? What are you doing at the well and it's time for prayer? Get to prayer. Right? Come on, y'all. Let's do exactly, right? So let's deal with it. We got to be able to separate from all of this foolishness, man. Somebody needs you. And if it means in a time of prayer, put it down for a moment. Okay? I don't care if you Mr. Fire, brimstone prophet, got words for days. If somebody needs a hug, put down your banjo for a second and hug them. Can you? Quit acting like you got to send somebody else to hug them.
Take the ox out of the ditch.
Come on, man. You got it. So he's dealing with her right now, and she's full of emotion. Let's keep going on.
He said, it said unto thee, give me to drink. Thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman said unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Yeshua answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw.
Look, she want that because she's tired of having to deal with people, y'all. I don't want to have to come back out here again and face nobody. So if I can have it, see, he knows what's going on right now. So he's going to deal with her on that moment. Because watch what he's about to say to her.
Yeshua said unto her, Go call thy husband.
Time out. Before you go trying to hide away, go get your husband. Then look what he said.
And come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yeshua said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband, and that said thou truly.
So he's saying what? You said it true. You see that? He's not damning her for what? Come on, y'all. I need y'all to work with it. He's saying you're being honest. I can deal with an honest person. Come on, y'all. I can deal with somebody. Now, what did he do? He just draws some understanding. Listen, she ain't never been this honest with somebody in a long time. And he done got her to finally admit the fact that the man that I'm with is not even my husband. He done got her to the place now where she can receive. Come on, y'all. This is beautiful.
It makes me think of your testimony, actually, where he met you at your well. You know, away from where you should have been in the prayer or the right place to find the Lord. He found you during the quietest hour, the quietest place, alone. And he says that you're drawing for water. Do you want the real thing?
You weren't even looking for him, right? Ain't that how he got you? You wasn't really searching for him. You were found. But I need somebody to work with me right now. Quit getting to the place where you're trying to give somebody something and let them be. I need some help here. You need to be found by him, because when you get found by him, it's going to be a game changer. That's right. Because right now I know it was you that chose me. I did not choose you. So if you chose me, then I know that I can't keep this thing and this relationship based on me, because you chose me. That makes me a place where I can allow myself to be able to deal with my emotions, because this ain't about me. This is bigger than me right now. If I chose you, then there's a state that I had to be staying at to keep you. But you chose me in a place where I didn't even think about choosing you, think about you, want you, desire you, or anything like. And then all of a sudden, now I get to this place of a relationship where I'm scared I'm going to lose you, that I start acting out in all these areas because I'm trying to do it out of a check mark status versus just a love, a lifestyle. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're putting more obstacles in front of you, trying to keep this relationship with him. And he's like, man, look, I love you with an everlasting love. I need somebody to understand that. I love you with an everlasting love. Do you understand? Like, that's an everlasting love. That's, if you're going to be damned, you're going to be damned, but I'm still going to love you.
It makes me think of when it says that kingdom come on earth that is in heaven. We try to put God in a box or in a building or in a church, saying if you want to find him, go there. But really, the kingdom is usually during the times when we're in the darkest hour at the well or wherever you can think of. And that's where we meet him. And it's not that we went to him. It's always that he came to us, that we can't boast.
Right.
Saying, oh, I'm here because I made it to your church on time and I understood all your scriptures. No, I've done quite the opposite. And during the darkest hour of the furthest corner of the earth, you came and found your one lost sheep.
That's right.
And when I was talking to her last night about Lynn, people go to church looking for him, searching for him, and they're told as soon as they step foot in a place, well, you know, you're baptized. You're baptized on Wednesday, and then they tell you, well, you're the newest member of the kingdom of heaven. They leave out the fact you got to walk in truth and then keep the commands. And he's in the people's lives that are broken down and are looking for him. I mean, not looking for him, but he comes to them.
They're looking for something.
Right,
He is that something. They're looking for that void to be filled. See, that's why he finds people in the dope. Huh? Exactly. When they're sitting around there with that needle in their arm and they're at their lowest point and they done made a bed in hell. Come on, y'all. He reached down there in the midst of it and pulled them up. Huh?
That's what I was going to say to her last night. Dope boys has brought more people to the Father than the churches.
Come on, that's true.
Yeah, and then I was thinking about writing a post, Dope Boys versus the preachers.
Right. Because they're on the corner every day telling them that they got what they need until they find out that's not what they need.
Use the dope boys to break
I need him. Right. So somebody go to Micah chapter 7, verse 7 and 8 for me. And we're going to read that. Go ahead.
Well, just like thinking about that earthly flesh desire of wanting that literal water or that drug or that fifth husband or that sex addiction. And you're always trying to go back to satisfy the flesh, but that you'll thirst again.
Hold that thought. Exactly. Because what she came there for was water. We're going to hit that at the end of this. Watch this. Micah chapter 7, verse 7 and 8.
I can't find it in this Bible. I feel like a new believer. I don't even know where Micah is. That's Malachi.
Huh? I know, but it's right before this, close to before
I can cheat
before Malachi.
Which is before Matthew.
I got it.
It's all right. Go to the front of your book. It tells you.
I guess I'm gonna have to.
Chapter 7, what verse?
Chapter 7, verse 7 and 8.
It's a Hebrew name.
But as for me, I will look to Yahuwah. I will wait for Yahuwah, Elohim of my salvation. My Yahuwah will hear me. My Elohim will hear me. Do not rejoice over me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall rise. When I sit in darkness, Yahuwah will be a light unto me.
There it is. That's a promise, y'all. Though you're sitting in darkness, you need to remember who your light is. Quit thinking that you're the only light. Quit thinking, because he said, I will put your candlestick out, right? He said, I will snatch your candlestick from its place. Come on, y'all. But I'm giving you a time of repentance. You need to understand, he won't snuff out a whittling wick. Come on, y'all. But you can put your own fire out. For it says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and 19, do not put the RUACH fire out. Do not grieve the RUACH. Come on, y'all.
Can I share one more thing real quick? There's something I recently learned when it comes to that side of IQ. You know, all the isms out there, monergism versus synergism. It's just these fancy terms. Mono means one, syner means two or more working together. And I feel like a lot of people teach synergism, which is that you do something, God will meet you halfway, but you got to work as a team. And I think that's the problem is we catch ourselves boasting that I met God at a certain point and I did something to get half of it done. Monergism is something that I learned that really humbled me, which is you were going in the opposite direction, doing everything in your power to go further away from God. And that mono is that one person that called you out of the grave, called you out of that drowning water, called you out of your own flesh that led you to death. And it's all of his credit, not yours, that brought you into the gospel to know the truth. And that's the IQ side, right? It's like, makes sense, give God all the glory, right? But then the emotional IQ kicks in of what we're reading here, which is even though you're searching and you can't seem to find it, so you go to that well or you go to that whatever, and here comes Yeshua meeting you where you're at. He doesn't wait for you to come to church or the synagogue, say, meet me there halfway. It's, I will come to you and during your darkest hour. And that's that monergism, that IQ kicking in with the EQ of understanding it at a personal level. That's how I've taken it so far.
So that's what it is, though. There's nothing wrong with the mono, and there's nothing wrong with the sin, right?
Yeah.
But what it is you're trying to put your stuff on somebody else. Because once he gets to you, then it causes you to work with him. See? But if I'm working with him, I can't look at the person that doesn't have him and expect them to do the same thing that I'm doing. You see what I'm saying? So what happens is man has basically, they're always trying to make a book or a stepping book or some way to simplify something that he can only do. Like, I can't explain him to you. He's got to explain himself to you. I can tell you what I think you need to know, but if it's not what you need to know, then it ain't going to do nothing for you. It doesn't mean that what you're saying isn't important. It's just not important for them. That's like giving a word in season. It doesn't mean that that word's not right, but that word has to be in season. That word is absolutely right, but it has to be in its right place. So all this has to do with, we have to be led by the RUACH and stop being led by our emotions. See, this is where we're getting at. And see, keep reading, because we're going to find out where she's able to be dealing with now, where he's now dealing out and saying, I'm going to give you something that you'll never thirst no more.
The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet.
So what does she do? She perceives that he's a prophet because why? He's telling her stuff about herself. See, he's still working through her mindset, because these are all things that she, look, this is called indoctrination, okay? She's been indoctrinated with everything she's dealing with. She never was good enough. She needs to go get the water. Come on, y'all. Yeah. She's dealing with everything that she's been indoctrinated with. Later on, she's going to get to it because she's going to talk about how they worship. And he's going to explain to them, like, look, I'm looking for true worshipers. I'm not looking for how y'all worship up there, all right? We're going to deal with it. This is indoctrination that people that gain things from people. Oh, don't cut your hair. What Most High told you to cut your hair. So you got to learn how to listen to him and stop listening to everybody else. Oh, don't walk around naked, but then he says walk in the woods naked. Don't think you're crazy, right? But if the Most High told you to do that, he's going to make it right. Like, come on, y'all. We got to quit looking at what, see, some people are scared to do what the Most High is saying to do because it sounds like other people aren't going to accept it. Come on, y'all. If he tells you to lift up your hands like this and drink. I know it looks crazy to y'all, but I'm not going to miss out on my blessing. See, so you got to learn how to quit worrying about what everybody else is dealing with and understand emotional intelligence says, listen, he's telling me something, and this is what I need right now. Huh? I got to quit putting all my stuff on somebody else and allow the Most High to deal with me. This is a relationship where it's between you and him. My beloved is mine and I am my beloved's. Like, you got to get that kind of a relationship. You know what I'm saying? That bridal paradigm in Song of Solomon. Like, you got to understand that relationship, that his love for you is intoxicating. Come on, y'all. Intoxicating is what it says. Right? Like, huh? But that's what it is. So I'm drunken by the love of him that I don't care. What do people do? They get drunk because they can put their feelings to this. Come on, y'all. Can we deal with this? You got to get drunk in his love. And I'm not talking about drunk telling you to go get drunk. But I'm saying get so caught up in his love that you stop worrying about what everybody else thinks about you. If everybody else says that you're not good enough, if everybody else says that you don't got enough understanding, you got to quit looking at somebody else that can quote 1,001 scriptures and base your relationship with the Most High with their 1,001 scriptures. No, because he gave me 1,001 scriptures doesn't mean that that's what he's going to give you. But make sure what he got for you is for you, and you claim that, right? His relationship's different. Like my relationship with my daughters are all different. Like, I love each and every one of them, but I can't give them all the same part of me because they all need a different part of me. I can't, you know, to her, she's emotional. That when I check her, she'll run and cry. Zariah, she'll look at me and then she'll say, I'm sorry. Ziana, she'll run and cry. Ziana, I can talk her through it. Her, there's no talking through it. So, you know, I got to deal with all of them on different terms, but, you know, that's what keeps the relationship pure. It's a full-time job. So the only way you're going to be able to deal with everybody else's emotions is if you know how to keep your own emotions under control. This is what we're dealing with. If I don't know how to keep my anger under control, I can't deal with you. So I got to learn how to step away, be angry, but sin not. There's nothing wrong with being angry. Just don't sin while you're angry. See, we're going to deal with all these emotions. Keep going.
Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yeshua said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain,
Come on, man,
nor yet at Jerusalem,
Come on, man,
worship the Father.
Come on.
Ye worship, ye know not what we know.
Come on.
What we worship for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him.
So my assignment is I'm in Jerusalem, and that's where I'm going to the lost sheep. That's why we're over there and I'm commanding it. It doesn't mean that you can't worship here. Doesn't mean you can't worship there. But my assignment, listen, we're dealing with assignments. His assignment was to meet this woman at the well. This wasn't an accident. So what you got to do is find your assignments each day. Yeah. What has the Most High said this day is going to lead you to? Stop doing things just because somebody wants you to do something, and do something because you feel led to do it. Out of a pure heart. Absolutely. Back to the kings, right? All that is in your heart, he said, go do for Yahuwah's with, right? This is what I'm saying. This is an inner part, right?
That's what I'm always praying for, the Father to show me if I'm truly an empty vessel, because there are times where you think you're an empty vessel that can be used by the Father, but really you got a lot of luggage in there that affects where the boat goes, and he says go east, but you're like, I'm leaning towards the right a little.
That's that emotional. See, that's what we're trying to get at. We got to get that EQ together, right? That's exactly what happened, come on y'all, with Lot when he was coming out of Sodom and Gomorrah. His intelligence was saying, this mountain is a lot quicker to get to than where you're telling me to go. But his emotional should have told him, first off, look, these people were about to grab you up, and them two men blinded all up. Come on, y'all. Huh? These two men weren't here by accident, right? You're missing the assignment because you're allowing your intellect to get you away from where he's trying to take you, because you're too emotionally set in your own way. See? This is why I got to be able to cast those thoughts down and come on to what he's saying. I don't care how I feel about it. Look, I don't want to go to Jerusalem. Huh? He said, make your face like flint. And come on, y'all. I need to, like, this is where he's saying, I need you to quit worrying about what you think you want. Not thine will, but not my will, but thine will be done, right? This is where we're dealing with this thing. Like, this is something we're going to learn as we travel through, but we've got to understand the difference between intelligent and emotional intelligence.
It makes me think of when you see a living man, he obviously has what he does and doesn't want, he goes where he wants, but if he's dead, he'll sit still and he'll just not move. He won't cry if the storm begins, or does he'll just sit there. And I believe that we really have to understand when the scriptures say, I die daily. Meaning wherever he calls me to go, I'm like a dead man. I have no say in the situation. I am an empty vessel ready to be used as a servant.
See, that's one of those things that I do it. I have no say. That's where you gotta get that out of you. You have a say. Come on, y'all. This is where we gotta understand. That's what stops us. It's because I deal with addicts every day, and they say, oh, I gotta put my will down. No. My will and his will become one. Come on, y'all. You have a say. That's the part that you need to understand. If you don't feel right or you don't understand it, get that conversation with him. That's why he says, come and let us what? Come on, y'all. That's what it was talking about. It wasn't talking about you and me. Let us come and reason. I don't have to come reason with you. But what I need to come reason with is him. Yes. You need to understand that you do have a part in this. That's why he called you. It's not for you to sit back and think that you don't. Like, you need to share. You need to get that stuff out of you. If you don't, and you just keep saying, well, I'm going to do it because he told me, I'm gonna do it because he told me, and you don't. Let me do this. No, we got to deal with it because see, that's why I work in the addiction field, because it makes me think about sin nature. The sin nature and addiction are the same thing. It's both slavery. Addiction is bondage, just like sin is bondage, right? And what happens is, in doing this, there's this part called self-care. You got to take care of yourself. You can't always take care of everyone else and not take care of yourself. That's why the scripture says that he often what? Withdrew himself and prayed, because that's his self-care. Come on, y'all. Self-care is where I'm getting away. You need to get away. You have to get away, and you have to take inventory on yourself. You got to quit allowing yourself to be beat all the time and never able to sit down and process this stuff. Like, for instance, if the Most High wants me to go to Guatemala, I'm going to have that conversation on why do you want me to go to Guatemala? See, what happened with Jonah is he didn't have that conversation, did he? Come on, y'all. He just did what he thought he needed to do, went and bought that boat ride and went his own way. But if he would have said, you know what, I don't want to go to them because I know that they're going to repent and I know that they're going to hurt you again, he could have skipped all of that process and got to the point where these people are mine, not yours. If this was your baby, you would want to work every way to make sure you can get that relationship. So don't, and then you understand his point of it. You see what I'm saying? But what he did was he withdrew himself from having that conversation and went what? His own way. If we don't deal with our emotions, if we don't have that conversation, that's what he's given us, a place where we can share why you feel the way you feel. What did David cry out? He said, kill them all. Kill the mama, their daddy, their sister, their children, their children's children. Wipe them all out. And then at the end he says, I'm a worm of a man. Woe is me. You know, like you got to get it out of you, man. If you don't get, that's your safe place, man. If you got to look at you and say, why do you want to do this to me? Do it. Do it. What did Jeremiah say? Jeremiah, what did he say? Why have you deceived me? Your word is like fire shut up in my... He was able to get it out of him, right? So that he'd keep doing the work because he dealt with it. We've got to deal with why you feel the way you feel. But don't sit back and just say, oh, my will's nothing. I'm just a sheep going to the slaughter. Yeah, and in theory, yes, we understand that. But in reality, quit lying to yourself. All right. You might feel like the sheep today, but as soon as they pull that knife up, it's sticky inside. And they go, oh, no, I'm just kidding. Oh, watch out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Reality kicks in, right? So you got to get that intelligence and that emotional there. Because I want to say that if they come over here to chop my head off, I'm just going to be like, I love him. I want to say that. But I don't know if that's what I'm real enough to say that. I hope that could be me, but I'll never know that until I'm faced with that. You see what I'm saying? We got to quit. I don't know. I know what you're saying, but until I'm faced with your reality, this is where emotional intelligence kicks in. Someone that loses their child, their loved one. The one day that Marissa came in, the guy across the street, his daughter, I think it was his daughter, died, same age as Zamara, died. She called me and said the man's on the porch on his knees with his hands in the air saying, why? My heart was immediately grieved. I don't have words to go say to that man. I'm not even going to sit up there and try to say, I'm anointed and appointed. Hallelujah. Like, come on, man. There's a place where you got to set that bull crap down. Seriously. Quit acting like you can just do everything. And all I could do is cry out for that man. I never faced that man. But I asked the Most High to face him. Because I know he is able to meet that need that man has. And I watched the Father, heal that family. Like I can honestly say I don't know what my life would be like. Like, Marissa says a lot of times, she feels like, I don't show emotions like that. But what's going on is I'm emotionally intelligent. I know how to let I don't allow my emotions to lead my life. I hurt, I fear, I go through all these things, but I don't put that on the front. Where they say, wear your emotions on your sleeve. Don't do that. Don't do that, because everybody's going to have you then. You got to quit wearing your feelings on your sleeve. That's what they talk about. That's where we're getting back to guard your heart, right? You got to quit wearing them on your sleeve. And if they're starting to bleed out, you need to get into a secret place and deal with it. You're not useless. You're not worthless. You're not this. You're not that, man. He ain't called you just to say that you ain't nothing. He ain't called you just to have you fail, okay? If you're here, it's because he has a purpose for your life, and you need to understand that, and you need to allow yourself to get to a place where you allow him to intoxicate you with his love enough to numb you. See, because you remember when he was being crucified, what did they do? They tried to give him that mixed drink, right? They tried to give him the hyssop, and some say hyssop and some say myrrh mixed with the wine, right? To basically ease the pain. But he didn't want it because he wanted to feel it. Why? So he can identify with us of what it feels like. This is all about identity. What we deal with is identity crisis because we don't understand who we are in him, right? And that's what he's dealing with this morning as well. So let's keep going. I'm trying to drag this out.
Let me say something. Notice the world makes it seem like a good thing. They say, oh, he was a good man. He wore his heart on his sleeve.
Right. That's what they do.
Right.
The world, if the world knew its own, it will do that, right? But that's what they're going to say. But you got to understand that you can't wear your feelings on your sleeve. And we're going to get to this point because Yahushua didn't wear his feelings on his sleeve. All right, let's go.
Yahweh is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The woman saith unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Messiah. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Yeshua said unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. And upon this came his disciples, and marveled. He talked with the woman, yet no man said, What seekest thou, or why talkest thou with her? The woman then left her water pot, and went her way into the city, and said to the men, Come and see a man which told me all things that ever I did. Is not this the Messiah? Then they went out of the city and came unto him. In the meanwhile his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, Hath any man brought him aught to eat? Yeshua said unto them, My meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work. Said not ye, There are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest? Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. And he that reapeth receiveth wages, and gathereth fruit unto life eternal, that both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. And herein is the saying true, one soweth and one another reapeth. I sent you to reap that whereon ye bestowed not labor, other men labored, and ye entered into their labors. And many of the Samaritans of that city believed on him for the saying of the woman which testified. He told me all that ever I did.
The woman that what? Testified. They overcame Revelation 12:11. They overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, hating their own lives even unto death, right? This is it, man. This is where testimony is important. When he seen that man, when he said we will pass over to the other side, and he seen the man that had legion in him, the purpose of legion inside of him was to kill him. But yet the assignment that they had could not be accomplished because Yahushua had a different assignment for that man. And when he came over there, you seen that they said cast us into the swine. And as soon as they get cast in the swine, they completed their assignment. That was the assignment. But the whole time, I need you to understand that even though you don't know he got you, he got you. I need you to sit on that for a moment. Even though you don't know he has you, he has you. I don't care what your depthness or situation looks like. Even though you feel like you're by yourself, He's still with you, man. This is the thing that they need to understand. All right, let's keep going.
So when the Samaritans were come unto him, they besought him that he would tarry with them, and he abode there 2 days. And many more believed because of his own word, and said unto the woman, Now we believe not because of thy saying, for we have heard him ourselves, and know that this
We have
is
what? That's important. We have what?
Heard him ourselves.
That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
We need to let people hear him themselves. I need you to hear that. Let them hear him themselves. Back to Joseph, when he was with his brother, there was an interpreter in the room. Eventually, he told the interpreter to get out the room so he could speak to his brothers face to face. You are an interpreter for the Most High, but there comes a time where you need to get out the room and let them hear from him himself. Come on.
Yeah.
He told the prophet to get out the way. Don't answer them no more. Let me answer them. Come on, y'all. There's a time where you need to understand there's a place where you have to step back. You got to.
if you don't have your emotions right, you might even get hurt by that.
Well, that's what people do.
Right.
That's why this emotional intelligence is such a needed thing, because you won't get hurt by it. What happened with Moshe? He was more concerned about the people than what the Most High told him.
Yeah.
His relationship with the people got stronger than his relationship with the Most High, because he smited the rock. But what was the Most High trying to tell him to do? No. Speak to him. But before all that, what did he tell him to do? He said he wanted to destroy Yasharel.
Oh,
Come on, y'all. He wanted to destroy Israel. Come on, y'all. Let's deal with it. The Most High already knew all this. He tried to keep you from problems that you got your own life into. Come on, y'all. But he's willing to see you through it. He wanted you to deal with that a long time ago, but you didn't deal with it. You kept on holding on with it. So now you're going to have to deal with what comes with it. So what did he tell him? He wanted to destroy him? He said, no. And then he gets to the place where he's like, these people are not mine. I didn't give birth to these people. Yeah. And he said, give me 70 elders, the same RUACH that is on you, I'll pour on them. He did all of that. He went to this place that he got with them, and they kept on going, and they kept complaining. Most High was like, listen, they complainers. Like, it's time to let them go. They ain't listening, right? I'm serious. Like, they limit me, and they limited the Holy One. Like, I can't do nothing for you if you don't believe. Let's deal with it. He could not do many miracles there in Mark 13 because of their what? Unbelief. I think it's Mark 13:42, because of their unbelief. Right? So your unbelief basically cripples him from doing it. All things are possible for him that believes. This belief is critical. And the only way that can happen is if you are healthy in your EQ. That you're now allowing your intellect to stop you from that emotional intelligence. What happened with, let's deal with Nicodemus. He had a lot of intelligence, but that EQ he was growing on, right? Because later on, what did he end up doing? He ended up being the one that carried him to the tomb, y'all. So he grew. So don't think that you're not supposed to have intelligence, but you got to make sure that you got your emotional well-being under control before you try to deal with all this intelligence. It's all about getting this emotional well-being under control. Like, you got to get your heart right. That's why he talks about in Psalms 51 about creating me a clean heart, renew a right spirit. And then he says later on, then I can teach sinners. I can't teach them if I ain't got myself under control. I'm in their way. He said, do not stand in the way of the sinner. Well, you're going to stand in their way if you ain't got yourself under control. Because you up there like, I don't know why y'all ain't listening to me. This is the truth. This is the Torah. And they're looking at you like, man, you're a madman. Calm down. Like, you can't be up there yelling at people about Torah. Like, come on, man. They ain't going to hear you. You can't go into somebody's assembly and attack their pastor. First off, you need to understand, when you go in there, the book called Art of War is a good book. You got to learn how to effectively do war, right? You can't go into somebody's house and attack them walking in the doors. You have to befriend them. And then you deal with them. And then you slowly cut it down. Like, you don't go in there and be like, I'm going to kill you. Like, you just gave yourself away. Oh, there, get them out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? We want to kill the enemy, but don't walk up there like, I'm going to kill you. Like, you gotta let the, right, exactly. You see what I'm saying? Judith. And the text shows Judith, right? She get the guy in the bed, they doing their thing, next thing you know, she pulls that little sword, she got chopped off his head, had her girl, yeah, in the pocketbook. Yeah. Then she took the head. She done had her friend come by with the little sack with the what I think it was like a fruit bag or whatever, or meat bag, whatever. She had a bag, right? She threw the head in the bag, and then she walked by. You know, you can only know you shot somebody's head off. You know that's like a leak of blood. So she walked up there and she says, "Open the gate." And they looking at her like, "What?" And then she throws the head over their gate, and they're like, "Ah!" And the war breaks out. Like, yeah, like, come on, y'all, right? You see what I'm saying? They did not go in there. She didn't say, "I'm gonna kill you." You know what I'm saying? Like, for real.
Go with Jael or whoever with Deborah when they got Baruch or whatever. She did the same thing.
Right, all of them do. You see the same thing with
like Abraham and Sarah.
all of them. That's the art of war. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. There's a book called The Art of War, but the art of war is in the scripture. It's been happening.
Yeah.
You don't go up there and attack. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to deal with this. We're going to get into all this. So let's did you get to 42 yet?
That is half of 42.
Okay, that's all right. We'll end 42.
I think
That's
he
fine.
did.
All right, so let's deal with here. So look, she had some deep stuff inside of her that needed to be pulled out. The woman that came into the world, she had some deep stuff inside of her that needed to be pulled out. A man of understanding will draw it out. All right, so here we go. Capping with this one. John 7:38. He drew it out and then he did what? Gave her a word, right? Come on, y'all. He that believeth on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. That's what he gave her. He told her she would get the living water. She heard the word. She believed the word. She held to the word, and she reaped the benefit of the word. He sent forth his word, Psalm 107:20, and he healed them and delivered them from all their destruction. Do you believe it? Do you believe that his word can heal you? Do you believe that his word can deliver you from all your destructions? If you believe it, then so be it. It will be for you. So Proverbs 18:21. This is good. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. This is going back to it. You got to be careful that you're not caught up in negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is what talks people out of it. I'll give you a perfect example. Joshua and Caleb in Numbers 13, right, and 33, they had a what? Different report, right? The report that they had was that we can do this, but the other people had a different report. Negative self-talk can talk you up out of the fight. What did David say when he seen Goliath? I defeated a lion. I defeated a bear. You uncircumcised Philistine, you ain't nothing neither. Let's deal with it. He talked himself up to war. He didn't say, hold on, I defeated a lion and a bear. That's a giant. These trained people in the military are scared of it. I'm just a child. What did they say to him? You're just a boy. Right? Yeah. He didn't allow any of that talk to get to him. But he went down to the river and he picked up 5 smooth stones.
You only need one.
He only needed one. See what I'm saying? But he did pick up 5 because he's like, just in case. But no, he want to make sure he was prepared. Like, ain't nothing wrong with being prepared. But he only needed 1. You know what I'm saying? And everybody always want to talk about the pineal gland, and we need to talk about it. I wasn't going to go into it deep enough, but the pineal gland, right? Isn't it funny that the rock hit him in the middle of his what you want to call your third? Come on, y'all, shut that up, man. That's foolishness. He hit him straight into that thing, and he destroyed that. Whatever you think you got, you ain't got it, right? You need to have your eyes, have your heart opened up, and quit worrying about this thing, whatever you think you got. Man, come on, man. Your chakras and all that. You better go on somewhere with that. You're gonna choke trying to do them. You know what I'm saying? You better get down to the truth. Like, quit with the foot. Man, yeah, single eye ain't talking about that. That's another message for another time, but I'm just so sick of the foolishness. But anyways, the stone hit him right there. So what's that say about that thing? Anyway, all right, so let's keep going.
So much for your third eye.
Your words are important, right? He ain't have one, did he? Sucker got shut down. All right, Romans 10:17. So then belief cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim. Pay attention to what you speak over your own life. Pay attention to what you're saying. When you're saying, I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I can't do this, or I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not strong enough. Like, you keep doing it, you're going to talk yourself out of it. That's what you're doing. A lot of times what happens is other people have spoken things over you, and what you did was you came in agreement with what they spoken, and now you're speaking it over your own life. Exactly. We got to quit that. We got to quit that. Father, help me to not speak negative things over my life. Help me not to be negative self-talking. Like, let me believe what you believe about me. Now, I'm trying to tell you right now, he did not bring you this far just to leave you, man. He didn't do that, man.
And people be trying to turn the positive self-talk around, like you're being boastful, being arrogant, proud.
Which goes back to what? Emotional intelligence. I got to quit worrying about what other people are saying and get balanced with my own emotion. They can say what they want. People say to me all the time, oh, you're so prideful. No, I'm confident. There's a difference. There's a difference with pride and confidence. I'm just confident. I know what I know. It's not prideful. Like, I cry out against pride, so you know what I'm saying, I know that it can't be that.
Which you said very similar to when you're dealing with addicts that in their first stages, they're in denial that they even have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
A lot like with worldly people, they won't even acknowledge that they're unrighteous before the eyes of God.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, don't put the horse before the buggy, worrying about if they're wearing CCs or anything. It's like, first get their pride out the way. You know, it's like you said.
That's how I knew that the Most High was even real, though, because I started to feel bad for the things that I was doing.
You're like, what's
and
going
that was never me. I'm like, I don't care.
You have that new heart.
Yeah, I didn't care at all. That's how I knew. I'm like, dang, this is real. I even told Jenny, I'm like, man, why didn't you tell me all this? And, you know, this is gonna happen. Because, you know, the things that I was doing, everybody else would be pointing at me, telling me, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, I don't care. There's nothing wrong with it. I do it because of this. Never felt bad for it. But then when I got that clear conscience and put on the mind of Christ, I'm like, oh snap, I couldn't get away with it no more. And it was tough. Like, it was real tough. Like, especially like apologizing or doing something wrong. And before I was just like, whatever. You know, I'd make up all these excuses. Like, that's just me. I'm like that. It's okay.
Good with the meaning
Yep.
of arrogance.
And I was, I was feeling bad for the other things.
What I've always struggled with, because my thoughts on arrogance is kind of cloudy where that line is, because people will say, well, you're arrogant. And she's about ready to say what the meaning of arrogant is. And aren't we supposed to be confident about what we're saying? What's this?
Definition of arrogance. Well, like you said, it's the difference in confident and arrogant.
I know if I'm good with myself, if I'm doing it out of arrogance or not.
Being arrogant.
No, that didn't help. I need arrogant.
Yeah.
So a form of arrogant would be this. If you're a scoffer and I'm going in the room and I make a public display of how you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove you wrong in front of all the people. That's arrogant.
But doesn't Paul say to correct them so that not only they who you're talking to stands in fear, but even them that even overhears the conversation?
He did, but he says warn a man once, then twice, then after that have nothing to do with them because they're self-condemned. So there's the builder and then there's the master builder. There's some people that have become builders, but they try to be master builders, but they have not yet came to the master builder part. So the whole thing about it, if I know that I've got a specific amount of time that I can deal with you on this, I'm not going to throw it all at you right now. So a lot of people do this with family members, is they'll try to bring it to the point that the family member don't want nothing to do with it at all because they threw it at them too quick. Like, arrogance will have you going to people because you know that you're right. Whereas, you know what I'm saying, you can know that you're right, but then you can operate in meekness to where you can sit back and not operate in what you can operate in. So arrogant is you're not even going to sit there and consider their emotions about it. You're just going to go off at them. It's almost like if I have a problem with you, I'm going to come to you by myself. After that, if you don't receive that, I'll come with the brother. And then after that, if you don't receive that, then I'll come with the body. Like, so arrogance is like, you know what, first off, like, I know you're wrong. I've already took you to trial. Hey, y'all, let's go check him on this. And I didn't even go through the processes. You see what I'm saying? Because I thought that I had it. I know where you were at. Then if I came to you by myself, you could say, brother, I didn't mean it that way. And I'd be like, oh, I thought you did. Or if I have an issue with you and I'd be like this, where let's deal with it. I'm wrong, but you're not. And I'm coming at you and I'm saying, you know what? I don't know why you said that, but you're not right. And you're thinking like, brother, I didn't mean it that way. This is what I'm saying it as. And then I'm like, man, you know what? Forget what you're saying. And then I come and grab him. And then when I come with him and I'm doing that with you, then all of a sudden you're saying it to me. And then he's saying, brother, he ain't did nothing wrong. Now, oh, shoot. Well, is it me? You know what I'm saying? Or let's deal with this. If I come at you, right, and I've got an assignment on you, let's be real. And then I bring him, and he's got an assignment with me because we got an allegiance. So we're coming against you. The safeguard is when we bring everybody together, they're able to say, hold on, y'all brothers ain't operating correctly. See? But arrogance is where you're skipping all of that and you're just going at them. I'm just damning you. I'm judging you before the amount of time.
Let me get I need your opinion on something. What, actually everybody in this room, what does shaking, what is shaking the dust off from somebody you meet? Does that mean tell them if they don't accept it, don't ever talk to them about that issue again, or don't even sit amongst them? Just stay out of the way of them.
All right. So I just went through this. I just did this. I just dusted myself off. So dusting yourself off is basically where when they say the dust of the rabbi, you know what I'm saying? Following the dust of the rabbi, you're following in the step foots or something, right? So you're walking in steps so your feet would get dusty. So when you're dusting yourself off, you're saying, I'm not traveling back down this road anymore. And you're going on.
Like washing your hands.
Right. Exactly. It's the exact same
not necessarily
terminology.
Them, just the situation.
That whole situation, because they're not getting anywhere. Nobody's growing. Nothing's happening.
Sometimes the people do that.
Because David said he doesn't sit in the counsel of the wicked, but in scriptures, a wicked person is even someone who is unreceptive of the truth. You tell them and they just count it as a strange thing and they don't want nothing to do with it. So that's what's got me confused. So if we tell them something, and even if you show them the proof, well, I'm not having anything to do with that. But then again, who am I to think, well, I can plant a seed and water and watch it grow at the same time? So that's kind of got me confused. I mean,
so when he said I don't sit in the counsel of the wicked, what he's saying basically is, if I got a situation where me and my wife has a problem, I'm gonna come to a married brother that's gonna tell me, hey man, you need to love your wife like Yahushua loved the church. I'm not gonna come to a brother that's single that's gonna be like, hey man, come over here, let's go over to this party. See, that I'm not gonna sit in that council. But if I want to go off because she's getting on my dang nerves and I want to go, please myself, I'll go to somebody that is going to give me the wrong counsel because that's what you see what I'm saying? That's what he's talking about. You're not going to walk in the counsel of the ungodly. You're not going to go because you already know what their counsel is. So why are you going to them? Don't even go over there because you know they're going to tell you, for instance, a homosexual will go around people that are homosexuals to get his counsel from them. They're not going to go to someone that tells you, well, the scripture says this. This is what the scripture says. This is what it said. Because they want the counsel of what they want. If I want to be a hater, I'm going to go around people that are haters. If I want drama, I'm going to go around people that are drama. Because that's the kind of counsel I want. I don't want somebody to say, man, that's foolish. Quit talking about what they fight. Like, if I'm like watching fights on the screen, I'm like, hey, look at this. He's going to look at me like, that's foolish. I'm not going to show him that. See, this happened with me with the video game thing where I had friends, we would do studies, and then they started playing the Call of Duty. There's nothing wrong with it, right? But what happened is we quit studying, and then all they want to do is play video games. I'm like, hey, y'all, we need to get in this word. Oh, now all of a sudden you're the Pharisee and the Sadducee of the group. Then when they would have their gatherings, guess who they don't call? You. Because they don't want your counsel there.
Right.
They want to do what they want to do, right? So you start seeing people basically, cutting you off from certain things, not because they don't like you or desire you. They don't want your counsel there because it makes them look into themselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's being alike.
It's like when we first got married, and I had to dust myself off pretty much for my family and all my friends. And I thought, oh man, this is forever. And he kept telling me, you just gotta get away. You just have to, excuse yourself from their presence for a while. And I was thinking, oh man, it's gonna be forever. I could never talk to my mom again because she's a sinner. I could never talk to my dad 'cause we were using drugs together, and now we, I could never have a relationship with him again. And I felt like that. And it was like 4 years that I didn't even talk to him. And I was like, dang, I really done myself all over, and I don't even talk to him. They're still my family. And then I didn't think I was gonna talk to my dad anymore. And then I felt led to start writing him when he went to prison. And I thought, dang, what's this for? Like I thought we were just cut off, and I got a new family now. But really just be spirit led, because the Most High may put you in somebody's life and they won't want to hear what you got to say. They'll want to cut you off. And then 3 years down the road, their heart is a little bit softer. Their eyes are a little bit more open, and the Father will have you speak to them again. Because I know it's been like that a few times where I thought, oh man, it's just done with my sister, or the Father's never going to open that door again. They ain't never going to want to hear me. Or if they use something against you, like, well, aren't you the same person that used to do this or do that? Well, maybe a couple years. It might take a couple more years before the Most High opens their eyes to something.
And if you're not emotional intelligent enough, what they say to you will begin to change your whole counsel or thought on yourself.
Yeah.
So then they'll be able to mend your mind and make you feel like you're this person, even though you're not that person. See, that's sorcery, okay? That's what witchcraft is, right? Where they can transfer your mind to think this way. You know what I mean? They can make you believe something that isn't even true. That's sorcery. I can make you think that you're prideful and you're not, because I keep aiming at that, breaking you down. What happened with Samson with Delilah? She kept putting that juice on him. She told him, I'm going to try to kill you, and he kept on going to her. And he wanted a relationship with her, right?
Yeah.
And what ended up happening? By the end of it, he said, it's in my hair, right? She brought another man in while he was laying on her lap. Another man cut his locks off his head. Dang. Man.
After all them times of her asking.
She told him, like,
wait a minute.
and she said, I'm trying to, she told him, exactly. And then she said, what? You don't love me because you haven't what? Told me all that is in your heart. Yeah. Guard your heart. Yeah. See that? Don't share it with everybody. Quit giving your stuff. Quit giving all your juice. You need to guard that thing. Quit letting them know that they're getting to you.
It gives them satisfaction.
Right. And then they find out that they got power over you. Because this is what we're dealing with, that emotion. Yeah. Once they find out that they can play on your emotions, let's deal with it. Can I go here real quick? Church with the music. They play on emotions. It's emotionalism. Let's talk about it. It's called, Watchman Nee has a good book. It's called Soul Power, right? And it talks about how to do stuff out of the soul versus doing it out of the RUACH, right? And a lot of people know how to tap into that. You know what I'm saying? You're all in it, right? Or they start telling you, you know what I'm saying? For instance, a doctor will tell you, you got cancer. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, get your affairs in order, right? How can that one man's response to your life change your whole life? Or a woman, she gets pregnant, she sees the 2 lines on there. She's like, ah! Now you gotta go get the room ready and everything else because this little piece of plastic said 2 lines on it. Well, what about this? You worried about 2 lines. What about line up on line, precept on precept? How come this can't change your mind like that?
All right now.
Huh?
What's that problem about a good report?
All right. I'm trying to speak. This was a heavy subject. That's why I knew this wasn't about to work like this, man.
I'm so glad that we had this.
Proverbs 18:4. The words of a man's mouth are as deep waters, and the wellspring of wisdom as a flowing brook. So here it is. Your words, man. Be careful what words you're giving people. Don't let certain people know things about you. Like, if you let them know you're scared, they're going to deal with it. If they start seeing your emotion of fear pop up, they're going to use that. That's why, like, even with women, when they're talking about an attacker coming at you, the only way to stop an attack is the element of what? Surprise. So if a woman says, ah, and jumps at him, the dude freaks out because he don't expect that woman. She expects her to do exactly what he says. But if she screams, ah, and jumps at him, he's going to, oh, you just threw him all the way off. His A game is gone because he did not expect that, right?
Remember that,
Right? Like, the element of surprise shuts everything down. You might not be aggressive, but you can make yourself like what that little chihuahua. How can a chihuahua chase somebody around? Because that sucker don't let you know that he knows you can stop him. He goes after them. He goes after them ankles. You're like, oh, right. But then a big dog, they go, you automatically like, oh my goodness, his bark just gets to the curtain mark, and he might be one that just wants to lick you around. Like, you know what I'm saying? But because you're scared, that's why they say don't let dogs know you're afraid.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
It is.
But I'm trying to explain to you because there's energy that is sent off, right? Our feelings are wavelengths. Like you gotta understand that. Like your feelings are wavelengths. If you walk around and you know what I'm saying, you stub your toe when you wake up in the morning, then you walk inside, you're automatically like, my day's bad, right? Now I'm saying you get your toothpaste, you ain't got enough toothpaste in, then you get in your car and the ice is out there, like your day just goes horrible until you can sit down and say, hold on, this is enough. Quit this foolishness, right? Like, stop. But if you wake up and you start your talk like, hallelujah, he is worthy. I thank him right now because he is awesome. And you get inside there, he's like, oh, it's about to be a good day. I got a little toothpaste. Hallelujah. Anyhow, you get brushing your teeth, you go up there, the ice, and then you know what I'm saying? You're like, you know what? Matter of fact, you know, me, it's gonna be me going to work late, but you know what? Maybe he has somebody for me to talk to today that I normally wouldn't pass by in the hallway. And then all of a sudden your life starts to work itself for you because you quit allowing your, you know what I'm saying, your emotions to dictate your state. You see what I'm saying? Come on, y'all. All right, so let's deal with this.
Emotional maturity.
Emotional maturity, exactly. So Psalms 42:7. Deep calleth unto deep. At the noise of the water sprouts, all thy waves and billows are gone over me. Right here. A lot of people like to use this as deep as we want to go into the Messiah. Like, this is not what this is talking about, all right? When it's talking about deep calls to deep, he's talking about the waters is over his head. This is a depressing state. Come on, y'all. This is not talking about how they talk. As deep calls to deep. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is how people will talk. That is not what he's talking. This is all bad right now. This Psalm 42:7 is talking about it's all bad. The waves are over my head. Like I'm drowning, right? Let's deal with this for a moment. Perfect depiction of waves, billows, life storms causing you to sink. This is what we're dealing with here. Then it says, Matthew 14:30. But when they saw the wind boisterous, he was what? Afraid and beginning to sink. He cried, saying, Yahushua, save me. This is a depiction of you feel like you're sinking in life. But guess what? You have a what? Escape. And what? Beginning to sink. He started beginning to sink. But what did he do? He cried out. Cried out, right? He took his eyes off Yahushua and started focusing on the storms. It's important to keep our eyes on him and not on the situations. Quit allowing your emotions to take your eyes off of him because you're feeling a certain type of way. You feel lonely, so all of a sudden you take your eyes off him and you forget that he's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Come on. But if you allow yourself to understand that he's a friend that sticks closer to a brother, even though you feel like you're by yourself, you say, I'm not alone. Stop
thinking you can't do something just because no one else has ever done it.
Right, exactly. These are all these things playing. Yeah. So everybody said, well, you know what? I ain't part the Red Sea, so obviously he ain't moving. Guess what? That was what Moshe needed. You don't need a Red Sea part. You even got a Red Sea over here. Like, come on, man. Can you quit the foolishness now? What has he done for you? You know when you're about to get in that wreck and you should have died, but he moved the lane for you? Like, talk about that for a minute. That was a miracle. Like, he works for your behalf. When you was in the hospital and they said you was about to die, but you lived, like, let's talk about that miracle. Like, Moshe ain't going to say that because he wasn't in that situation. So quit trying to allow what miracle he did for their life be your miracle. Quit living in someone else's miracles, what I'm saying. Huh? Live in your own miracle. All right. Hebrews 12:2. Looking unto Yahushua, who is the author and finisher of our belief, who for the joy that was what? Set before him endured the cross. It was his joy to endure the cross. You need to understand that. It was his joy to endure the cross. It was his joy to get in position for your judgment so that you can become the righteousness of Elohim. That was his joy. Think about that for a minute. It was his joy. Like, it was his pleasure. Huh? To take your mess ups and put it on himself so that you could become the righteousness. That was his pleasure. It's like him looking at you say, it was my pleasure.
that was set before him.
Yeah.
Where does that talk come from? That's set before us. King David says, your commands are as a race set before me.
Mm-hmm. And then he says, what? Despising the shame. And what? Despising the what? Shame. These are all feelings, right? Joy, despising the shame. These are feelings. And it's set down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim. All right. Reclaim the throne of your heart. Jeremiah 17:9-2. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? This is where the seat of your emotions can be deceitful. Your emotions can deceive you. Then he says this, I, Yahuwah, search the what? Heart, and I try the reins, even to give every man according to his way and according to the fruit of his doing. So we're going to deal with the word try, which is bakan, which is to examine, to try to prove, but this is what I want to focus. To scrutinize, to test, to prove of what? Gold, the persons and the man of Elohim, right? So he wants to prove you. So when he's trying your reins, he's getting inside of your emotions. So that's why he allows situations to happen to you, because he wants to let you see where you're really at. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's going good, right? He starts blessing you. You got this good job, and then all of a sudden he takes the job away from you because he wants to see if you're still going to love him as much as you did when he gave you the job. Like he's doing that for you. But you take it as, what have I done? I've done this, and then all of a sudden you get offended in him, right? This is dealing with that emotion. What did Job say? Yah gives and Yah taketh away, right? Like this is where that's emotional intelligence. That I'm not allowing my situation to base where I'm at. You know, Paul, he talks about being content in all circumstances, right? Whether you're rich or you're poor, being content. Like this is where emotional maturity, emotional intelligence is at its finest, that I'm not allowing my situations to dictate my relationship. If everybody turns against me, like with Paul, what happened with Paul? It said everybody forsook him. Demas even wanted to go after the riches of the world, so he forsook them, right? Alexander the coppersmith did all kinds of evil to him that he didn't even want to talk about. Everybody forsook him, but it didn't change that he was basically knowing what? That there's a crown being laid before. Hold on, first off, you failed your mission, brother. You're supposed to build all this stuff up, and then by the time you're at the end, it all went to kapooey. But he didn't allow that to dictate the fact that there was a crown that was laid before him, that he's going to finish the race strong, because he had his emotional intelligence together.
The faith is what I cannot see, so don't determine things according to how you feel
Right.
or see, but according to the word.
Right. So whenever these certain situations are coming here, they're there to try to prove you. He's basically showing you what your emotions are in your heart that you need to work out. If you're dealing with loneliness, he's saying, man, I'm trying to let you know that you got to quit putting your focus on people and get this relationship with me. That's why you keep facing loneliness. If you're facing, depression, it's because, you don't understand that he is enough. So he allows you to keep dealing with this. If you're feeling like you're not good enough, he's just trying to pull that outside of you and say, no, you are good enough, and I'm going to show you you're good enough. That's why he keeps putting you in positions where he offers you these jobs that you feel like you're not good enough for, because he wants you to understand that you are good enough. So everybody's road and where they're at in their emotion is going to be different, but the Most High is trying to take you to prove you, to try the reins of your heart. So then we're going to deal with the other one, Kilia, right? And that's the kidneys or the organs, and you'll see when they were doing the sacrifices that these were like the sacred things that they took, right? And then it says what? The seed of what? The emotions and affections.
Yeah.
Right? Your emotions and affections can kill you. Listen.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
You get it?
Y'all have to sense of humor.
These other No, but listen.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's how I remember them.
They waited all day to use that one.
No, I got another one in there I'm working on. All right, so Genesis 6:5. And Elohim saw the wickedness of man that was great in the earth, and that every what? We're going to deal with the imagination, the thoughts of the heart, right? Which we already know the heart, being the chamber where all this is at, right? So we're getting to the place where we see all this. So let's deal with it. Yester, right? Yester. It's the forming, the framework, the purpose. So this is where we're dealing with the imaginations, right? It's the purpose. It's what in their mind they set out to do. It's almost like in Genesis, I want to say chapter 11, where they were building up Babylon, right? The Tower of Babel, right? What was they doing? They had in their thoughts that they could get up there, and because their thoughts or their imagination said that, they could have did it. So I need you to know that your imaginations can take you places that he won't even take you. Know that. That's why you got to be careful about entertaining imaginations. And you got to learn how to take anything that sets itself above him. You got to learn how to bring it into subjection. See, because your imagination can work against you.
That reminds me of the prosperity gospel where they put this idea in your head that you're going to be rich and famous.
Right.
And then when it doesn't happen, you're like, well, there is no God, or he doesn't love me. And it's like, well, no, it's because you created your own version of God.
Good. Perfect. Good point. So what they say is, believe it. Speak it. Receive it. I spoke it and it's happening for me. I have not because I asked not, and I'm asking for it. Like, this is not genie in a bottle. This is not how this works, right? You just not just get 3 wishes and get what you want, right? Look, the Most High is going to deal with this thing. He's going to prove you, right? It's funny. So your imagination is your device or your intellectual framework, right? Your what? Intellectual. Your intellect is telling you how you're going to do this. So for instance, when we're getting to the person that, gets the money and he has the storehouse, what's he do when he gets more money? He builds more storehouses so he can fill more up, right? Instead of utilizing what he has to build into the kingdom, right? So this is where we're dealing with these intelligence. Intelligence can work against you because in your intelligence, you begin to have this imagination that you're this great person. For instance, someone that doesn't go to school can have the same skill set as someone that did go to school, right? So now you got someone that has a degree, and because they got the degree on the wall that says that they're this, the person that has lived experience is coming in saying, man, I can work with this and I can do this. And they're like, you know what, you don't got the degree, so we're not going to pay you as much. But the person with the degree, they're like, I already put all my work in, so I can just sit here and live off my degree, while the person that's got the lived experience wants to pour their heart out to it. But we won't give the person that pour their heart out to it the benefits of what their labor is. But we'll focus more. It's all right, just quit sidetracking. We want to focus on the fact, it's fine. We want to focus on the fact of what? That you can't let an intellect dictate where you're going to go. Stop allowing your intelligence to dictate where you can go. Because, you know what I'm saying, that's what they did when he called the apostles, right? When he called the disciples, they weren't basically intelligent, That's why they were outcasts, right?
Unlearned men, he called them.
Huh? Exactly. They weren't intelligent, right? So let's quit focusing on intelligence for a minute and deal with this emotional intelligence. That they believe that if he says, follow me, drop your nets, they're like, okay, we'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Emotional intelligence say he has something, I want it. That's what emotional intelligence tells you, right?
It's kind of like with kids because they don't have as much life experience, and they don't have, things like fear of failure and things like that.
Good.
And so they're more apt to be like, all right, I'll drop my net. Whereas once you get older and you go through things and you're like so you think you're intelligent, you try to, you know what I'm saying? Whereas
absolutely.
Kids just have trial and error.
That's why he said,
If Dad said we're going to eat, we're going to eat.
Right.
Right.
You
Good
don't
point.
ask about
Good point. And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where we got to get to the point where we stop allowing our intelligence to stop us from making it to the kingdom.
I know sometimes the best students are the ones that don't have all this, IQ and degrees and all that, but they're like, I got nothing and I'm willing to listen. It's like I can work with this guy versus him that knows all these isms and stuff. It's like he's so stubborn. I can't even work with him.
Right. You don't give me no time. You already know it. All right. Well, what ain't that what he did with the Pharisees? They was like, well, we've never did nothing wrong. And he's like, well, all have sinned and fall straight off. No, not us. He's like, well, then if you can see, then you'll be blind forever. Like, let me keep pushing, right? I ain't got time for that. Like, he dealt with it.
And it reminds me of when it said that the Mashiach was a stone stumbling because they were in their minds, they thought they were so they could outsmart the Most High, where even very thing that they were so into, which was the Messiah, became a stone.
Good. Yes. Good. Yeah. See, because they weren't able to connect with it. They couldn't because they didn't understand it, right? Just like the rich man that had all that stuff. He said, sell all your stuff and give it to the poor. Intelligence said, if you give all your stuff to the poor, then you ain't going to have no stature at all. So you really didn't want the stature that came with him. Or the man said, I want to serve you. He said, look, a bird has a nest, a fox has a hole, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Do you really want this? He didn't give him this picture where, even today everybody's like, oh, come into the Messiah. Like, it's so wonderful. But they forget to tell him that, hey, you know what I'm saying? You got to endure hardness like a good soul. Like, you need to tell him, like, this is war, y'all. When I'm calling you, I'm enlisting you into war here. This is not saying, come in and eat and get fat. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not how this is working. Like, this is war, y'all. Okay. I don't even know how to pronounce this one.
Mahashaba.
Nah, it ain't that. It's definitely not that one. Mahershala Hashabah, yeah, because I would have had it. It's a different one. This is not. It's something else. Nah, it's a different word, man. I heard it. It's not. No, it ain't none of that. Quit. It ain't none of that. We ain't even trying to record it. I'm willing to say I don't know. I don't know it, right? I read it, but I don't know it. But I do know what it's saying here. So we're dealing with the thought, the device, the plan, the purpose, the invention. So we're dealing with inventions now. That our intelligence becomes inventions that work against us. Let me say it again. Your intelligence becomes an invention that works against you. Because where you're emotionally connected with the Most High, your intelligence will tell you you're wrong. To give you a perfect example. Peter, when he was looking at him, he said, what? Let me build 3 tents. That was his intelligence saying. They wanted to put their hands on something because that's what we got to do. If a man don't work, he don't need it. This and that. You know what I'm saying? That's what our intelligence do. And then Martha and Mary, you got the one that sits at the feet while the other one's like getting mad. I'm like, why aren't you doing anything? Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to find out where you're at and get in your place and be okay with that. And quit trying to get everybody else to be in your place. If he calls you to go out there on the corner, don't damn someone else because they're at a golfing course. And I'm looking at you like, why are you at the golf course? Like, see, that's what we do to ourselves. Like, he might be at the golf course, but he's got him dealing with people that would never have heard the message while they're on the golf course, right? But that's not for everybody, because if I go to the golf course, I might be trying to say, man, shoot, there's some money up in here. I'm trying to get some connection. Like, so he ain't gonna see me that way, right? But he's not concerned about the money, right? He has that language and that thing. That's what he's dealing with. So we gotta understand that the Most High puts us in different places, but we gotta learn how to be able to be emotionally intelligent to where you're satisfied. Like if you're sitting back at home and you're like, woe is me, or you're Eeyore like, oh, Christopher Robin. Nobody's gonna be what? Attracted to that. How many people you see running to Eeyore? When Eeyore comes, they're like, oh gosh, you Christopher Robin. Like nobody wants to be around that.
An elephant from Sesame Street.
Right. You can't be walking around all sad and somber. Like, I don't want that. Like, you know what I'm saying? What you gonna want I want what you want. Like that's what they were saying. Like, I want what you got. Like, you gotta get to the place where I'm getting emotionally intelligent enough that I can deal with my own emotions, to where somebody desires what I have versus me, you know what I'm saying, trying to pour it all on them and they don't want to hear that. All right. Back. Colossians 1:21. Come on, get out of there. And you that were sometimes what? Alienated and enemies in your what? Mind. By the wicked works, you now has he reconciled. This is where those inventions came in. The intelligence and the inventions are what caused you to be alienated, because your mind told you that you weren't good enough. And then all these situations came up, and now all of a sudden you're disconnected from him, right? Or you made a mistake and did something, but your intelligence says you knew better than that, like Hebrews 10:26. If we deliberately keep on sinning after we receive the knowledge of the truth, there is now no longer any sacrifice for sins, but fearful expectation of raging fire that consuming the enemies of Yah, right? You read that and you're like, oh my goodness, I sinned. I'm cut off. I'm doomed. Oh, like no, listen, what do you say? If you deliberately keep on sinning, bro, listen. Are you deliberately doing it? You're saying when you wake up, you know what? I think I'm gonna go cheat on my wife. I'm gonna go cheat on my wife. Like if you waking up deliberately doing that kind of stuff, then you ain't gonna even think about trying to have a relationship. But if something inside of you is like, I'm cut up, like something inside of you is crying out, something inside of you is greater, and it's crying out saying, I need you. Like, don't allow that to separate you from him. Allow that to draw you to him. What happened in the garden? When they ate from the fruit, they found out they was naked. They're like, oh my goodness, right? Their intelligence came in. They were first off, when they first started in the garden, they were emotionally intelligent. But then when they ate from the fruit, they became intellectually intelligent, like you're butt naked. And then shame came in. Guilt. Why am I thinking that? Shame, because we're going to deal with that was a natural passion for them to be like, but when they were just emotionally intelligent, they didn't think like that, right? But when they became intelligent, then they started thinking like, I got a passion now. I desire you. Like, you know what I'm saying? That became a passion, right? It's a natural thing. We're going to deal with it later. But all these things started playing in the face. And then what did he ask them? He says, what is wrong? Where are you? Right? They weren't honest. You see what I'm saying? And this is where we got to learn how to be honest and deal with our emotions so that we don't disqualify ourselves or we don't alienate ourselves in our own mind. Because if you allow your intelligence, you'll isolate yourself from the Most High. Because the word tells you that you're wrong. So now all of a sudden your intelligence has casted you away from him. Come on, y'all. That's why it says knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. Love does not do what? Keep track of wrong. Come on. Love does not rejoice in evil. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get this love part just like we got this intelligent part. So then we're going to deal with the mind that we're dealing with, the alienated. It's the faculty of the understanding, the feelings, the desires, the mind, spirit, the way of thinking, and the feelings. See, this is what happened, right? Your intelligence done took over that. So now all of a sudden you're not able to be emotionally intelligent. You're just all intelligence. See, that's what he talks about the wisdom and the knowledge of this world versus the wisdom and knowledge of Elohim. Because the wisdom and knowledge of Elohim is attached with emotional intelligence and not just with the ideas of intelligence, right? You got feelings attached with it.
Reminds me of the verse that says that the cross is foolishness.
Right. Exactly. They don't have the understanding of it, right? They can't relate to that. That it was the joy that was set. They don't understand that part. It's just like I did roll to hill. They were Hebrews 6. Crucified them all over again. What was right? What happens in NA or whatever? They say what? My name is JJ and I'm an addict. Well, you keep calling yourself an addict. What are you gonna do? So a man thinketh that he. Come on, y'all. You gotta quit saying I'm a sinner. Well, you're gonna do what a sinner do if you're a sinner. If you say I'm the righteousness of Elohim, that means you're gonna start doing the righteousness of Elohim. If you say I'm a basketball player, that means you gotta do what? You gotta play basketball, right?
What's that one verse that says, whatever you think, you start to do. Whatever you do becomes a lifestyle, and then becomes your destiny. I'm butchering it, but I think it's
saying.
I believe it's in scripture. I believe Paul said it starts off with your thoughts in terms of
Oh,
the
are you
action.
talking about when he said those things that I don't want to do, I do, and those things?
There's another one. Yeah. But anyways, go on.
All right. So RUACH 2 and 5. So back to this trying, right? Because he's going to put you through situations so he can show you where you're really at in your emotions, right? So you'll never be able to, right? Let's deal with this. If you identify with having a job because you're someone that works, right? He'll take you to a place where you can't get a job until you can understand how to identify him in your life and not be so caught up on finding your identity in your job, right? Because he wants you to find your identity in him. So if you feel like, you know what I'm saying, something happens where now you're in a wheelchair, you're wheelchair bound. Oh, my life is over. Like, and you're rolling around. But if you're a strong person, you know what I'm saying? Because it's been proven in hospitals. They said they'll never walk again.
Oh, yeah.
But in their mind, they're saying, nah, I'm going to walk. And they get up and they like, and they fall. And they're like, why are you doing it, sir? Because I believe And then eventually you just see them, and then someone's like, man, why are you doing it? Like, why you walk like that? Well, you know what they said, I never walk with you. This might be the walk I got, but I'm walking. And I'm thinking, you don't know what it's like to wake up every morning and can't wipe your own butt. Huh? I can't. But I'm saying it proves it, like, because in their mind, they believe. So people say, oh, you were healed because it was in his name. No, they was healed because they believed. Come on, let's get it correct. Because everybody thinks because they called on his name, they were healed. No, they believed, so they were healed. Because they were healing, and they said, they're not healing like we're healing. He said, call fire down and cast on them. Like, how are they healed? Because they believed and they were healed. They weren't preaching the same thing they was preaching, but things was happening to them. So don't get caught up on what you see as far as false signs and lying wonders. Like, these things is happening, man. You got to not be, you know what I'm saying, intellectual about this thing. Get to the emotional part. All right. Oh, did I finish reading that? Oh, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men are furnace of adversity. There's a scripture in Proverbs. He says, when adversity comes, if you fail, your strength is weak.
Yeah.
I can't remember where it's at, but it says in a time of adversity, if you fall, it's because your strength is weak. Your strength is small, it's weak, right? So we're dealing with that thing. He takes you through the furnace so that he can deal with what's really going on inside of you, right? 1 Peter 1:7, here we go. That the trial of your belief, being much more precious than gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto what? Praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahushua HaMashiach. What are we dealing with at the appearing? That goes back to that 1 John, right? Though we do not appear as he is, we know that when he comes, we shall be as he is. That's what this is saying. You're going through these trials, you're going through these tribulations, you're going through these tribulation and these groanings and these moanings, and all of this is based upon who you're going to become in him. So quit allowing the situation or the suffering, the present suffering, right? We're going to get to that. These present sufferings cannot compare to the glory. So Deuteronomy 8:2, here we go. And thou shalt remember all the way which Yahuwah thy Elohim led thee 40 years in the wilderness to do what? Humble thee or anah thee, right? He says, and to what? Prove thee. So you're going through the wilderness time. You're going through this barren time. You're going through this tribulation time. You're going through this time where you know you're doing everything right, but he's not giving you your answer. You're like, I don't know what else you need me to do because I'm doing everything. He's like, no, there's one thing you lack. He's dealing with that one thing you lack. He wants to get rid of that thing. Quit getting so caught up in your intelligence with it. There's not a step guidebook that's going to give you all of the answers. It's going to be emotional. You're going to have this relationship with them, right? All marriages are different, right? So I can't tell you how to live your marriage. I can tell you how my marriage works, but it's based off of our emotional intelligence of one another, right? You can't base that off of anybody else. All right, so here we go. Psalms 139:2. He says, search me, O Elohim, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me to the way everlasting. So once again, the chamber of your heart, he's saying, let me inside of there. Let me sit and do what? He said he's knocking on the what? Door of your heart, and he wants to do what? Sup with you. Come in and sup with you. Sup with you, because when they sat at the table and they ate, they did what? They conversated. They had a relationship. So what he's saying is, I want you to let me in your heart, not necessarily so I can eat with you in your heart, because that just sounds weird, right? But what he's saying metaphorically is saying, let me in your heart so that I can conversate with you. Quit blocking me off. Quit shutting me down. Quit not letting me in when I'm trying to deal with these things. You're like, well, nobody cares for me. He's like, I'm trying to let you know I care for you, but you keep blocking me off. I keep telling you in my word that I love you, and you're like, no, I'm this and I'm that. And he's like, man, I'm trying to tell you that this is what I am, but he's not enough. So until, guess what? You need to understand that that's one of his emotions. He's a what? Jealous Elohim. And if you don't think that he's enough, guess what? He's not going to let you have somebody else until you get to the point where you understand that he is enough, right? Okay. And then this is dealing with the thoughts, you know, the thoughts that you're dealing with. Okay, so the thought for discussion, here we go. Emotions are not wrong, but to be what? Led by emotions are where we are to be, hold on. Emotions are not wrong, but to be led by emotions are, hold on, I'm gonna chop that all up. Emotions are not wrong, but to be led by emotions are, we are to be led by the RUACH, right? Stop allowing your emotions to lead you.
That's me.
The emotions aren't wrong, but we got to quit allowing our emotions to lead us and allow the RUACH to lead us. Then he says what? The Most High has given us emotions for a gauge to keep us active, or i.e. engaged. He's given us these emotions. Hey, we're having a discussion. It's all right. Time to write out, go. So he's given us our emotions to keep us engaged, to keep us active, so that we can, if we didn't have emotions, guess what? We'd just be what? Right. He didn't want us to be that. He gave us emotions so that we can have feelings. So guess what? You're allowed to say, I don't like that. Or I'm like, hey, brother, how's it? Like, please don't touch me. No. Why don't you want to be touched? See, there's more to I don't want to be touched, right? Maybe somebody did something to you. So now, you know what I'm saying, through understanding, we get to this relationship where I find out that something actually happened to you. And then that triggers you, because sometimes what happens is people operate with triggers and trauma that they don't even understand that they got or they're dealing with, right? Because they don't understand it, because it's hidden so deep down inside. So the Most High wants us to be able to be healed from all of that stuff. So he eventually will get us to the place where he can bring that out of you, right? So that's what this is all about.
I noticed that with like a lot of inner cities and wanting to look like a thug and look tough has a lot to do with just not understanding what it means to be a real man. And so they have a false understanding of strength as being constantly mean and angry. And not having a father and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Well, or it could be that that's what's being led in front of them.
Right.
So it ain't so much that that's what they think, but that's just what they have. Because emotional intelligence had to do with what? Your environment. That's one of them keys.
Right.
So that their emotions are what? Their emotions that they have are valid. That they need to be tough.
Yeah.
Right? But what they understand is when they grow with the emotional intelligence, they can understand that being tough don't mean that you have to display toughness. Now they understand, as they get emotional intelligent, they can understand some intelligence now, right? So now when I'm emotionally intelligent, because I was one of the guys that grew up in a gangbanging lifestyle, right? But that's what my environment gave me, right? And I became emotionally intelligent, and then I learned something called meekness. And when I learned about meekness, I understood that I could be the toughest mother, you know what, and not have to display it. And that's even more powerful than me being able to just jump on you when you say something. Because then I started understanding that a child, when you tell a child no, they can throw something at you and throw a fit. So a child can even do that, right? So it's about emotional, it's about getting comfortable in your own skin and understanding who you are. A lot of people do stuff because they're unaware of it. A lot of people that do the stuff in the streets, or they do what they do, they don't want to do it at first. They feel bad about it. But eventually, after they keep doing it after a while, it becomes second nature to them. It's like, now I can do it and not feel bad about it. It's almost like a woman that lays down with a man and they're not really going to be together or whatever, and she feels like she just gave herself away.
They have to practice being seared.
Right. And it's what happens, man. Their conscience is seared, right? They no longer have that conscious thought about it no more. So here we go. I'm about to bang through this real quick. Tomorrow, I need you guys to calm down. Go out there with the mouse thing. You're doing too much. 1 Peter 1:3. This where we're at. Wherefore, I'm sorry this is long, but this is an important topic, man. This was brought up. All right, so I need you guys to work on me. What's this saying right here? Wherefore do what? Gird up the loins of your minds. Let's deal with this. The loins has to do with the hip, okay? And we're going to get into this, that it had to do with the hip. It's the same place where Jacob got touched, was in the hip, in the hollow of the bone. That's an important part because we're going to deal with that in a minute. So when he's saying gird up, that was like putting on the utility belt. That was like putting on the thing. So he's saying, ready, do what? He's saying gird up, but this hip thing's what the loins where I want to be at, right? But he says, and be what? Sober-minded, which means what? Don't allow your emotion to dictate what's about to happen. and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you by the what? At the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach. So we're going to deal with it. I want to get into this morning. So the first off is going to be the gird up. The gird up, right? It's a metaphoric practice to order to, basically, they fasten their garments. They had themselves set that, you know what, when I put on my football helmet and my pads, it's not time to talk no more. It's game time. You know what I'm saying? You know when people say, put on your game face? Like, that's what it's talking about. You girded it up, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where you're saying, I'm set in my ways that this is what's going to happen. But let's deal with this hip because it's important, right? So, the hip, the loin, right? Externally, right? It's the what? Procreative power. This is what I'm talking about. This is where, when the hip, they're talking about, that's where the semen is located, right? That's where the seed rose from. Like when you work out and you do this, it releases testosterone. It's all the working of the hip, right? When somebody punches, where do they say punch from? The power comes from here, right? Come on, y'all. When you play baseball, where they say it comes from? Right here. When you play golf, where does it come from? Right here. When they say, you know what I'm saying? When you're going to booty bump with somebody, they say, don't what? Put all your weight in and do what? Put the weight in the hip. Boom. Like, you know. When you do the, right, in the hip. When you do the, what's it called? The hula hoop. It's all in the hip. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm dealing with this one, but I'm trying to get, that's where all your proactive, like, that's where the power is coming from, right? You know what I'm saying? When you get down there, the Kung Fu people, it's the trunk. It's the, all of the people know about this, but we walk right by it every day and didn't know it. But this is where the procreative power is at. It's in the hip, right? That's why he touched him in the hollow of his hip, because he wanted to get him to the point where, you know what I'm saying, I'm more powerful than you. What you think you can create, I am the creator. You think you're the deceiver, but I can give you that new name. So when he touched him in that, it was the end of fight. Come on, y'all. So there's more to that. So then back to the mind, man. So the mind, your mind is a procreative power. So your hip, meaning your mind. That's why I say girdle on your mind, because that is your procreative power. Your mind is what can make you believe or not believe. That's why he talks about in Romans 12:2 about what? Be not conformed to the world, but be what? Transformed by the renewing of your mind. This right here, my friends, is your procreative power. If you go back to the thing with our generation today, they don't know nothing about the little train called Thomas, the one that said what? I think I can. This generation don't know nothing about that. This generation is starting to believe that they can't do certain things. There's an app for that. You know what I'm saying? They're getting us to we're becoming more mindless. Listen to me. We become godless. We become believeless. We become mindless. Pretty soon we're going to get to the point where we don't know how to have any kind of procreative power. Back in the day with the Legos, you get a box of Legos and build whatever you want. Now they give you a box and they tell you what you can make with it. You're losing your procreative power. With coloring, back in the day, you know what I'm saying, you have more color. Now they're telling you that this is what you can color. Color this color, color this color. They're telling you everything to do. There's no more that you can think for yourself no more. I don't like making decisions. Like, that's what we're going to get to. A place where our generation is going to not want to make decisions any longer. And there's going to be one that lords over them and makes the decision for them. Right. This is the procreative power, right? The children will rule over them, and the women will rule over them. Right? This is where we're getting at, right? So Proverbs 25:28. He that has no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. We're going to get to the food here in a minute. But let's deal with this. The spirit right here has to do with what? The seat of emotions. If you can't have rule over your own emotions, then anybody's going to be able to get in and take you. You need to learn how to rule your emotion and quit letting your emotions rule you. Listen to me. I'm sad. That's all right. I've had my good day. How's it going? Work with me, man. Work with me, man.
And I've had my bad. I don't know the rest of it.
My good days can't outweigh my bad days. Whatever. They knew how to allow themselves to be in an emotional state, but their emotion didn't roll over them.
That's me.
I was in a place where I know that I'm defeated, but I allow myself to stay defeated. In my mind, I'm not. My procreative said, you know what? I'm not going to be defeated forever. When Israel was crying out for them 400 years, they was crying out because they believed. Even though they were still in bondage for them 400 years, they still believed. What I'm telling you is there a procreative power is in your belief. Your mind, your loins is girded. That you know you might going through a time right now where you're depressed, but I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be depressed forever. So don't lay down and die in your depression. I'm saying, Lazarus, rise. And we got to deal with that real quick. What is he saying? He's saying, come forth, right? You got to call these things out of you. What did David have to do? He said he had to learn how to do what? Encourage himself. We got to get to the place where we stop allowing our emotions to rule us and we rule our emotions. Emotions were given by Elohim. We're not going to read all these. You guys can get on them and look at them because it's going to be on the webpage. But I'm showing you anger. This is where it shows all the places. There's a lot more, but this is what I have time for, all right? This is the anger, right? I wanted to hit on all of them. This had to do with compassion. This had to do with grief. This had to do with love. This had to do with hate. This had to do with jealousy. This had to do with joy. And this had to do with delight. These are all what? Emotions. And they were given by Elohim. Oh, and fear, that was it. Oh, and affection. That's it. These are all emotions. All right. So then after that, I go to Isaiah 55, 8, 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts. See that? You got to allow yourself to get to the point where, you know what, I know I feel this way, but guess what? He's feeling something better about you. That's where Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plan I have for you declares you are plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans for hope in the future. What they didn't understand is he told them that while they were in captivity. Listen, he wants to tell you the good things while you're in captivity. He wants to tell you the good things while your mind is captive. Like, that's how he is. He draws you out with cords of love and kindness. See, we're in a relationship where, you know what I'm saying, I want him to always, confirm in me that this is who I am. Well, you know what? You got to have a relationship with him for him to confirm that, right? You can't expect him to just do it. It's like a relationship with the wife. My wife don't tell me that she's needing something, and I ask her, hey, what's going on? Nothing. Like, you can't. You got to tell me if you want me to do something or say something, you got to say that, right? Don't just expect me to be some mind reader, and I'm just going to be like, you know what? I think you need a smoothie. Hey, like, you know what I'm saying? Eventually, you know what I'm saying, she think I know how to read her mind. Now I've learned how, certain feelings require certain things. So I learned in my arsenal, I know how to, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Right?
This is a smoothie time.
Right? Or, you know what I'm saying? She's tired. She's had a long day at work. All right, well, let me order pizza. Right? It's not because I'm a mind reader. It's just because I've have a relationship with her, so I understand that her feelings are valid, so I try to meet that need. But in a relationship, to skip over the learning process or the learning curve, you have to share things. So you got to find out if I want to have a relationship with somebody, I'm going to share my heart with them, right? And it goes back to David and Jonathan when they met each other. You know what I'm saying? They were a kindred spirit. Like, that's what relationships do. A relationship brings forth a kindred spirit. There's some people that are just kindred off jump, and then there's some people that become kindred later on. So this is the thing of saying that, you know what I'm saying, relationship takes work. Emotions take work, right? These things take work. We're almost done.
Yes.
Then he goes and says, for the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts your thoughts. This is a long one, man. Listen. Philippians 2:5. Let this mind be in you. So now we're dealing with having his emotional intellect, right? Let this emotional intellect that he has be yours now, right? I'm trying to run through this for you. Then he talks about be not transformed, but you be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So this is where you start to renew your mind. You're going to let the word dictate your emotions. Like, start allowing the word to be mastery over you, right? And stop allowing your emotions to be the mastery over you. So the word begins to be the mastery of you. So I know you feel a type of way, but what does his word say? Like that's where you got. That's why it's important. Psalms 119. Let's say I hide thy word in my heart that I might not sin against y'all. Let's deal with that. I hide thy what word in my heart. Well, what is the word? The word is my what? Treasure. Okay, let's deal with that. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So if you're wearing your emotion and your treasure is in people, where my relationship with you is more important than my relationship with the Most High, that can set me off if things aren't right with us, right? So that's what happens. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's got to be one thing that I desire, and that I might dwell in the house of Yahuwah. Like, that has to be your desire. Like, when it says that he'll give you desires of your heart, he's aiming at, he's kind of trying to get you to understand that your desire should be to dwell with me. Like, if that's your desire, then I'm going to give that to you. It's not, my desire is to have a Bugatti. Like, well, brother, you probably have a Bugatti. I mean, you can have a Bugatti because guess what? In my own emotion seat, in my own ideology, I can work myself to the Bugatti. I can deny my family, I can deny my friends, I can deny my call, I can deny everything, and I can work for that Bugatti and then have a Bugatti, but at the end, I'm not going to be satisfied. It's just like when you wanted, so it's like when you wanted a phone. That phone is ridiculously expensive. You're like, there ain't no way. And then you're like, no, but I gotta have that phone. And then you get that phone, and then after you have that phone for a while, it's like,
They come out with
I'm ready for that next phone. Right? So, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know what I'm saying? But if you would have been patient, you could have got that sucker on sale, you know what I'm saying? And it would have been all good. But we want it right now. Like, that's intelligent. Your IQ will tell you gotta have it now because you can have it. Where your emotion will say, hey, this is not healthy. If you go do that, then you know what I'm saying, you're not going to be able to have this, that, and another. If you do that, you're not going to have enough money for your electric bill, and then your electric bill's not going to be paid, and your wife's going to be crying, why did you not pay your electric bill? And then, you know what I'm saying, everybody else going to be looking like, why is the electric bill? But I got them new pair of shoes. I want it like, okay, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Make sure to the
you see what I'm saying? You're like, exactly. Make sure they go in the dark, right? But do you see what I'm saying? Then that becomes a childish thing. Like, you got to put things in order. And even though I want that, I have to be intelligent, but I have to allow my emotional intelligence to come in and say, hey, the desires of my family are also important and not just my own. So then it takes me to that place.
Decency and order.
Exactly. That's what it begins to take us to, right? Because in your intelligence, you tell yourself, you work hard every day, you deserve something nice. That's not what it is. Emotional intelligence says something else. It takes money to make money. I gotta have a shoe bag. Like that's where the intelligence comes in. Now you're getting all the other stuff, right? Cool, shaking. So you know what this word right here? I'm sorry, but this word right here for the exactly that word right there is noose, right? That mind here is talking about that noose, right? It hangs you, yo. Like, right? Look. So then what happens is your mind comprising alike faculties of perceiving and understanding those feelings and judging, they determine your mind ends up hanging you. So they are alienated from a life in him with their what? Mind. They noose themselves. Right?
Yeah.
So the power of considering and judging soberly, calmly, and partially. This is the point where we got to start doing that. We got to be able to, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, y'all. We got to get this emotional intelligence in there because that's going to allow us to be able to deal with people on better terms versus just what you think you know, right? Because what you think you know might not be exactly what's going on. The practical mode of thinking and judging, the thoughts, the feelings, and the purposes and the desires. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to get to 1 Peter 2:21. We're almost done. For even thereunto you are called, because Hamashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example that we should also follow in his steps. So he basically showed us how to walk in this emotional intelligence. He showed us how to have the intellect. You know, where people say, you're so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. He was all heavenly minded and all earthly good because he had emotional intelligence. If he just had the intelligence, he wouldn't be able to display it to the people because he wouldn't understand what they're going through. But he suffered like we suffered, yet without sin, so that he can have that relationship with us. So it's like, until you walk a mile in my footsteps, don't think you understand what he said. I walked in your footsteps. As a matter of fact, you're following my footsteps now. So quit saying you can't do it and say you can, because I said you can. You know, now we're following his footsteps. All right. Leaving us an example that you should follow his steps, right? So then I'm going to get into this. Yahushua was not an emotion. He was not emotionalist. I said he was not emotionalist, right? He felt what we feel. He was weeping with those who wept. John 11:35 shows that how he wept over them, right? But his weeping didn't stop him from doing what he had to do. But yet he had that emotion. Then it says he felt compassion for the multitudes. But his compassion didn't stop him from being able to be effective. He was being overcome with sorrow to the point where he had to shed blood, like he was dying, like. But he didn't allow that to affect him from what he had to do, right? He through it all, he revealed the Father to us. He allowed all these emotions to reveal the Father to us. So all these emotions that you have, when they're operating in emotional intelligence, what happens is your emotions are going to help you reveal the Father to people. That's why you have sorrow, so that you can identify with somebody's sorrow. So next time you're going through that bout of depression, I want you to think of it like this. Come on, y'all. I'm trying to do it. But Paul and Silas, when they sent them to the deep part of the cell, right? And they weren't able, they had them bound up, and they said they started singing and praising, right? They started doing that. And then it said what? The doors of the prisoners was open loose, right? So next time you go through depression, understand that I'm not going through depression because of anything about me. You're going through depression because the Most High wants you to understand that emotional point of it, so that you can help those who are going through emotions, because now you are emotionally intelligent in that situation. I need some help. That's why he made Hosea marry the prostitute, so that he can give the message to the people about how we are prostitutes. And come on, y'all. Like the reason why they went through the things was so that they can have that emotion attached to deal with the people. Like if you've never went through it, how can you identify with it? So you going through it is him basically saying, I'm allowing you to go through these situations so that you can have emotional intelligence and help my people. I'm allowing you to be the hands and the feet. I'm allowing you to go down there, and I want you to learn how to take this thing on and have joy for this stuff that's being set before you. So next time you're in a depressive state, let it be joy that takes you through it, and stop allowing yourself just to be depressed and feeling like you're so far from them. No, I'm taking you through depression because I'm going to use you with someone that's depressed that don't know me like you know me. Next time you're going through sorrow, I'm taking you through sorrow so that you can deal with somebody with their sorrow that don't know me like you know me. Next time you're dealing with a sickness, I'm taking you through this sickness so that you can deal with someone in sickness that don't know me like you know me. Now everything that you want in life, like now you start this emotional intelligence starts to flow in this thing, right? All right, here we go. 2 Corinthians 10:5. This is where he's casting down the imaginations, right? Stop allowing your imaginations, those things that you create, stop you from what the Most High has knowledge for you for, right? Because he has something else he's trying to tell you. But your emotion, you know what I'm saying? You can take your emotions and your thoughts about things, and don't understand that his thoughts are higher than your thoughts. Like, you gotta understand that he knows. So even if you can't understand how he loves you, quit trying to understand it. Just tell yourself this. His thoughts are higher than my thoughts. So maybe I won't understand how he ever loved me. Huh? Quit trying to figure it out, because you're wearing yourself out trying to figure out something that he don't want to reveal to you right now. We wear ourselves out by doing the things that he ain't trying to reveal to you right now. Why are you trying to figure this out? This ain't what you need to know right now. I want to teach you about this, and you sitting over here trying to figure out about this. Like, we got to quit wearing ourselves out. Mama. His emotions did not rule over him. Okay, so once again, I'm showing you some more anxiety. He had pressure. He was troubled, and he was heavy-hearted, but yet it didn't rule over him. He had zeal, he had anger, and he had sadness, but it didn't rule over him. Luke 24:26 is a good one. Ought not Hamashiach to have suffered these things and then to enter his glory? Ought not to he have suffered? He had suffered these things and enter in the glory. So think about that for a minute. Next time you go through what you go through, maybe you had to suffer it so that you can enter into the glory. So 2 Timothy 2:12 says, if we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he will also deny us. He's taking you through what you're going through because he wants to know, are you going to deny me or not? Next time you're depressed, he wants to know, are you going to deny me or not? Are you going to trust me? Next time, you know, you got anxiety, are you going to deny me or not? Next time you're feeling lonely, are you going to deny me or not? Are you going to believe that I said I am more than enough? So when they say I am that I am, like that starts to become more powerful for you, because you know what? Who do you say I am? Well, right now, I need you to be my friend. Right now, I need you to be my comforter. Right now, I need you to be my lover. Right now, I need you to be my security. Right now, I need you to be my hope. Like, that's why I am that I am, because I am what you need me to be. Right now, I need to be a friend to you. I don't need to be a father to you. I need to be a friend. Right now, I need to be a brother to you and not be a minister to you. Right now, a son to you. And I am that I am. Willing to give us that kind of relationship with him so that we can, you know, become emotionally intelligent. So, Romans 8 and 18.
But then we're gonna make those hamburgers.
He says, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. He's allowing you to go through these sufferings. He's allowing you to go through these trials. He's allowing you to go through these tribulations because he's trying to get you to understand that he is more than enough for you. And when you can understand that and you can get to that emotional intelligence, then you can start understanding that, guess what? My intellect, my emotions, every bit part of me is there for me to help me relate to someone else. It's not there for me to be isolated. So don't allow your emotions to isolate you. Because you know what happens when you start doing that? You start to be what he talks about in Jude, where he says that they are sensual, puffed up, and they separate themselves. Don't become sensual. Become spiritual. Spiritual is greater than sensual. Sensual is based off of, I feel hurt. I feel that, like, no, quit being so sensitive and get to the point that you understand that he's giving you these emotions, but with that, he's giving you a power to overcome. Like, this is not something that was granted before. I had emotions from the time that I was born, but now he's giving me the power to deal with my emotions to where I can be able to be angry, but not sin. Before I had the power, the dunamis, or any of that, I'd be angry and I would sin. But now I'm able not to. Before, you know what I'm saying, when I was depressed, I was not able to press on. Hard pressed, persecuted, not abandoned, struck down, not destroyed. Like, these are things that he's allowing you to go through so that you can become emotionally intelligent. We're almost done here. For real. What happened? My thing's done now. You guys listen here.
Oh.
I'm not sure. We're almost done now. Come on.
You're recording this, right?
Yeah.
Are you still on Zoom?
Proverbs 3 and 5, yes. We're almost done. I got 2 more slides. Trust in Yahuwah with all thy heart. That's right here. The throne. Trust in him. Let him have his throne back. You hear me? Trust in him and let him have his throne back on your emotions. And lean not on your own understanding. Stop becoming so intelligent that you push him off his throne. Let him have his throne back. That's what he's saying. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart. Trust in him so much that you allow him to have the throne of your heart back. And then once you do that, you can reclaim the throne of your heart. And you'll be at the place where you start saying, finally, brother, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are a good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, then think on these things. So now, because you've given him the throne of your heart back, you're able to focus on what you need to focus on. There's still bad reports, but you're not going to focus on that. You know what I'm saying? There's still stuff that's not true, but you're not going to focus on that. Like, you can't even focus on what's real because you ain't giving the throne of your heart back. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
All right.
That was really good.
Yes, excellent.
That verse, which if you did share it, I'm sorry, but it says, capture every thought. Capture every thought and test it and see where's it going, where it come from, is it from your eyes, from yourself.
This message was handcrafted for me, every bit of it.
I'm glad I could
I
be
mean,
here to watch it.
some